All right, y'all. How you doing? This is our D sound. This is our weekly meetup tonight. This is normally on our go-to meeting, but tonight we decided to go live. We actually have a guest tonight. Uh, got some feedback there, D. Thank you. We got a guest tonight. He hasn't arrived yet, but he will be here soon. Um, but I want to also start off with how is everybody doing? How you doing, D? Shout out to Kelvin. Shout out to Fran. I see you in the comments, um, and so forth. But how you doing, D?
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. You got all you be having a lot going on. Like
I do because I'm usually backstage, so there's a lot of checks and balances that I do, and even in our meetups, I'm always manning the chat and welcoming people and just checking emails and make sure our guest is okay. So I'm always doing a whole lot of stuff,
so
but
so you just be back there.
I
More or less.
I, I be here. I be doing stuff. I be doing stuff. I can't
You
help it.
just
I
be
be doing
back
stuff.
there.
I be back here. I be back here. But
That's what
want
you
to
said.
congratulate you on passing your SANS exam.
Thank you. Thank you. I
You
posted it
worked
on.
you worked hard for that.
I'm tired.
You should be.
I'm tired. I was I I was sleepy today. That's one thing I was. I was sleepy today. But I didn't go to bed too late.
Yeah, you're a stalker.
Yeah, I didn't go to bed
You,
like
you, you're a stalker, but
I don't
that's
know.
what happens
It
when
was
you
about 4:30 or 5 o'clock this morning.
I
I
don't
got back
know.
up at
You
8.
know. I don't know. That's what happens with you avid nappers. I had to shut it down last night.
He said he got a small emergency. He'll be here shortly. But either way it go, we want to make sure that everybody know who we are. So let's do our intro, and then I do have a couple of things I do want to share. All right.
Really? Hold
Yep.
on, let's pull it up.
All right. So if you don't know who we are Women in Linux. You can find us across social media at Women in Linux. Um, if you are not sure if we are a nonprofit, and I'm going to start backwards today. If you're not sure who we are, we are a nonprofit. We do talk about getting primarily women into tech from an infrastructure perspective. When I say infrastructure, I'm really talking about Linux administration, DevSecOps, cloud security, anything that is centered around Linux is really my thing. Do we have men in the group? Absolutely. Have men came on this platform? Yes. If you don't know, then you can go back and look at some of the topics that we have discussed, some of the people that we have had, um, as well as some of the people who tweet about us as well too, and who's in our meetups and who's in our Slack. If you're not a part of our Slack, you can connect with us on Slack by coming here, hit connect. Once you hit connect, put in your email address. You will need the Slack app, and then you'll get in. Shout out to Amy Rich for posting jobs. Amy Rich was just one of the senior DevOps or the director of senior DevOps. I believe that's the title, official title. Sorry, Amy, if you're watching and I screwed that all up. My bad. However, Amy was on, and she's also in the Slack group. She's over at Redox. We posted jobs from Redox. She's in there to answer questions. She's looking for junior people. We bring people on so you can get jobs. We don't talk about just like, hey, here's the skills you need to get a job. We talk about here's the skills you need to get a job, and oh, by the way, here's the people that's hiring, and oh, by the way, you can talk directly to them, right? So that's what we try to do. We try to bridge that unknown to the known, so that way you can actually get work, right? Our goal here at Women in Linux, if you don't know, if it haven't been declared, a lot of people don't like for me to talk about it. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. My goal is to make sure that everybody at least gets a minimum walking in anywhere from 100 to 150, but my real goal is 200K. In order to do that, you need to work. It's not going to be handed to you. It's not something that's going to be You could go pick up off the shelf. It's not something that you can go get out of Publix. You can't order it online. You are your biggest supporter. You are your biggest link. So that's where we're at. Next, if you want to donate, you don't have to donate with just your time. You can donate with your money and donate with your time. But again, there's different ways to donate. We need people for chopping up videos. That's one thing we need people for. Some things we are paying for, just because I just think it's just right that, hey, you got, you know, time is money. And of course, we want quality work too, right? Um, yeah, we all, yeah, JM, we do help. If it's just your first time at our meetup or whatnot, jump in the Slack. Other people will tell you about what we do, how we do stuff, and so forth. You can engage inside the chat as well too. Also, you can also not just donate with your time or donate with your money. You can also speak at a Women in Linux event or a meetup, or present a topic, or make suggestions, or bring other people on. Hey, we're always looking to expand and grow our knowledge and our network. Next, if you want to shop with us, if you feel like you don't have anything to give for the holidays, you can give some nice little Women in Linux stuff to some future Women in Linux engineers, or you just want to support, right? So you could socks always come in handy. The spiral notebooks come in handy. Bags always come in handy. These cups come in handy too. Great for sipping. If you live in Florida, they'll keep your alcohol cold. Um, so just a FY and that. Oh, I didn't see this unisex tea. D, this must be new. It's unisex tea. I've never seen that before. That must be new. All right, and clocks and gift cards, right? So hey, you have options. All right. And last but not least, I'm D. Above me is, I mean, I'm D. Above me is D. I'm
What?
T. Yeah, I told you I was tired, man.
She is tired. She
I
needs
was
a
tired.
nap. No, she need a good rest. After this meeting, tell Tamika if you want
I got
Tamika
I
to
got
get
a
a
I
good
got a
night's
I got
rest,
a course to write.
put one in the
We got a
chat.
course to write. We got a course to write. We got a course to write tonight. Do it in the morning. Nope, 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 no sleep. We go hard in the paint around here.
We
Kevin,
do
yep,
we
you
do
should
go
should
hard
be
in
a
the paint.
part. You should come to the meetups. Really, I try not to do meetups here. D, he said he's in the lobby. I try not to do meetups here only because um it's not engaging enough. But hey, it is what it is. And also, um, while he's backstage in the library, I did want to bring up some stuff that we've been posting. Let me see if I can bring up the Slack group, because we have there's some jobs that were posted, and just to give you my overall sentiment on stuff. Let me bring up this other thing I want to talk about. It's in regards to just the overall median income. It was something that Erica Wilson had posted one, but I had to go and do my own research to just really highlight and show some things. So I went out and did my own little research. And so let me pull this up. All right, let me pull this over here. All right. So let me blow it up some. All right. So here we go. The real median household income by race, and Hispanic origin. I don't know why that's there, but whatever. From 1967 to 2020, black, 45,000. Hispanic, and they got any race, 55, and all races. The median is 67. White non-Hispanic is 74,000, and Asian is 94,000. I'm rounding these numbers. So if we are below at 67 would be the median, and this is due to increase over time, right? And we are at 45,000. We just can't afford uh not to do our best to bring our numbers up. I hope you can see this. I mean, I think I blew it up a lot, but I'm just gonna make sure
You
that you
blew it
can.
up too much. You can
Okay,
scale it back down.
okay, right there. All right. So just want you to see that, right? Where the numbers are at, and I also want you to see. Let me pull up an email that was sent to me today. I'm trying to think where it's at. I had to shut my email down because it was killing my computer. It's still bleeding right now. Like it's just being hammered. But let me pull up my email today that was sent to me from it was a slew of jobs. It's from cyber coders, but either way it go, I just want to show you it was 14 jobs that was sent over, right? So let me pull this over. All right. And if I can make that, can I make that bigger? Yeah. All right. So I'm not sure what this looks like on screen. Um, maybe it's too big or not. Yeah, yep. That's cool. All right, so here we are, senior DevOps engineers, SRE. You can see right here, AWS, Linux, Docker, and you know my theme. You know my everybody who knows my theme. Um, my theme is always going to be Linux. Is always going to be Ansible or some configuration management tool, Terraform, some type of cloud. Um, if not some pick a cloud, I don't care. AWS, Azure, GCP, I don't care. And then just understanding what agile is, and you're gonna need Terraform or Cloud Formation, um, preferably Terraform because it keeps you agnostic to go anywhere. So I'm just gonna click on one of these jobs. Let's just go with this one here, for um, for for what we want to talk about. This is over in Clearwater, full time, 130 to 160. I'm sure it's negotiable, but let me blow this up. Um, 3 years of experience. Ansible, here we go. Ansible, Puppet, Cloud Formation, Terraform, Python, Ruby, Java, Go, right? um, ECS, Kubernetes, Linux, right? It's the same thing. Like, it doesn't change, right? And the more you work in this, doing this, and this for SRE, right? The more you work in this, the more skills you gain, the more money you make. It's just what it is, right? You always got to be improving. So just want you to be aware of that. So let's look at the senior DevOps one as well. Oh yeah, CI/CD. I forgot. That's the other one. GitLab, GitHub, Travis, Jenkins, Circle CI. I don't care. Pick one. Let's look at what they're looking for because the theme is the same: Python, CI/CD, AWS, Linux, Postgres, MySQL, microservices, blockchain, AWS search, security search. So if you're senior DevOps with CI/CD experience and AWS, apply today, between 120 and 160, right? So I mean that just gives you an idea, right? It's nothing on here has said that you need to have a degree, a 4-year degree. You need to have your master's. None of that, right? Again, to me, it's just the easiest way to get in and ramp up and get employed. My thoughts only. These are not the thoughts of cyber coders or other communities. These are just my thoughts. It's just what I have seen. Any questions, drop them in the chat and so forth. D, do we have somebody backstage?
Nobody backstage yet. Nobody
Oh, he said he
backstage
was in the
yet.
lobby. Let me
Hmm?
look. He said he was in the lobby.
He might be on YouTube,
Oh,
but the links are in his invite. I can post it for you backstage, but you found it before.
mm,
So I don't know where he's at.
no, I'm not sure where he's at either. Well, I hope that makes sense. All right. And last but not least, we'll look at this last one. Let's look at the remote director position. Give you an idea of what that's at. Oh, it's been taken now. Sorry, no longer available. So they must have hired somebody. But this was sent over today. So I just want to give you that insight of what it is. There was another one that I did want to bring up. Let me look at my Slack on that one because a lot of people like, yeah, that's cool. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. If you were in the Slack, you saw Digital Ocean drop some jobs today for a manager for SRE, one for distributed databases, one for distributed systems, and then a senior web developer. And then I want to bring this one up because I don't think no one looked at it. Everyone's always screaming like, well, Web3 and the metaverse, but here you go. And I should bring that job up too. Metaverse jobs for engineers, designers, creators, and more. You can check this out. You can subscribe. They're posting jobs and so forth. But here's a list as it starts. They're looking for an online community manager, so you don't have to be as technical. You can you can do that. A content producer. We produce content. You see what we have to do to produce content. A senior producer, metaverse content, finance associate, business operations associate, a Meta Inc. reporter, right? I'm just going through like what they have up here, right? Graphic designer. So it's a ton of different jobs when we're talking about what does that look like? Where can you work? But here's another list of jobs right here, right? So I just wanted to show you that. Um, Facebook did reach out today, this week, and they're already hiring for their infrastructure side for Meta. Um, I'll go into detail as to what they're looking for a little later, and then we'll go from there. Oh, he's here. I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Bring you to the stage. Are you going to do an intro?
You just bring them up, and I'll do the intro there.
Okay.
All right. So coming to the stage, I always wanted you all to talk about. You always talk about you want to be like I don't want to work for anybody. I want to be. You always gonna work for somebody indirectly. So tonight I wanted to bring you the other side of tech. Right. We showed you jobs. Now let's talk about how to be a freelancer. Right. We want to talk about what is it like one to what skills do you need? Like you don't even have like not even technical skills. We can get into technical skills, but like how do you pair yourself up and make sure you're setting yourself up correctly to do freelancing? And the other thing, Brian, if you want to bring it up, I'm not sure
Mhm.
if you're aware of like how would you like set yourself up like from a CPA standpoint, like
Mhm.
how to set yourself up like hey, make sure you're getting your taxes
Right.
correctly, from there. So
The
Brian
business of being a contractor.
yeah. So Bryan Henderson had posted some jobs over in Blacks in Technology. Like, oh, that'll be a good topic because we talk about it all the time.
Mhm.
And I approached him and I was like, hey, can you come do the show? And he's like, I don't know about all of that. Like, they that's not where we at. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna say Bryan Henderson. Let's give Bryan Henderson. I don't know how you want us to introduce you. I don't want to say that you know all things
I'm just a
of being a free.
resource.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a resource for Topital. Is that correct? As a
Top
partner.
town. Yeah.
Top
Top
down.
town. Yeah.
Top Tab. Okay, Top Tab. I don't,
There you
there
go.
is a company called Topital.
I believe it.
Yeah, I
I
believe
believe
there
it.
is a company. All right, so everybody out there, if you got questions about freelancing and so forth, I'm gonna turn it over to Brian. He's gonna introduce yourself, Brian,
Mhm.
and what you do, and then we'll get into it.
All right, cool. Evening, everybody, and thank you for having me. So, a quick introduction. I'm Bryan Henderson. I work at Toptal, and my job title is Enterprise Client Partner. And pretty much what that means is that I am an account manager, and Toptal, kind of think of it as a marketplace. On the one hand, we've got all these freelancers, and on the other hand, we've got all these companies, the Microsofts, the Googles, the Facebooks. They're all looking for help, and they're not shy about how they get it. Of course, they want to hire full time, like you guys have talked about, but that doesn't always work. So then that's where companies like Toptal come in, and Toptal is one of the best at it. But we connect these companies to our freelance developers and designers and product managers, and we help them essentially create value through using our people. Sometimes it's long term, sometimes it's short term, but the biggest thing is that they find value in the work that they're trying to do, and they do it quickly with high quality. So as an account manager, I oversee the process of helping the clients figure out what they want in terms of skill sets or a team of people or an individual. And then with my team, I help actually get that person interviewed and hired. And they're still all contractors. So that's why we're talking about freelancers. They're all contractors. This is totally different from if anybody has ever worked with like a temp agency that does like contract to hire or something like that. That's not the model here. For the most part, these are contractors that stay contractors for the life of their engagement with the client. And most of them like that. So you guys were asking about or, bringing up the business of freelancing. Most of these people and you yourselves may want to be a freelancer because you want the independence, right? Like I worked for a long time in industry and in consulting, and it's tough to be on somebody's 9-to-5 schedule all the time. Vacations are limited, always worried about pay and, kind of maybe limited to, okay, well, you do this year and the next year we're going to give you 5% and the next year 5%. And some of you guys have also developed skill sets or want to develop skill sets that truly make you an expert at what you do. That's a good reason to go into freelancing, right? Like you've got the right skill set. There is a demand for your skill set. And you really want the ability to kind of drive and control how much you make, when you work, and the types of clients you support. So it's a really interesting lifestyle. A lot of the people from our network started in industry. They started at some of these big companies all around the world. And then they finally realized, you know what, I'm good enough. I can do this on my own. So they kind of quit those jobs. Not even all the time quit the jobs. A lot of the times they do it in parallel. So they're working, for example, full time at a Google, but then they say, hey, I want to freelance with an additional 20 hours. They're going to say, hey, I'm going to work 60 hours a week to make this additional income. I'm going to do 40 with my regular job, and I'm going to do 20 with freelancing and see how it works. And then once they kind of get the taste of it and they feel that there's actual ability to, replace their income, they quit their full-time jobs and become full-time freelancers. Toptal is interesting because we actually vet. There's a lot of different platforms where you can just be a freelancer. Upwork is one. You can put your profile on, Craigslist, and people can try to find you and hire you. But the cool thing about Toptal and difficult thing is that we actually will screen you. We kind of really make sure we vet all of the talent that we bring into our network, so that way our clients know that they're getting the best. So it is really difficult to get into our network, and you really have to be the best of the best to do that. But once you're in, man, we keep our people busy all year round if they want to. The last thing I'll mention real quick before I pause for any questions or comments, but talking about the business of contracting. You do have to set up yourself as an independent contractor. So these people from a government perspective are all 1099 independent contractors, and that's a tax status. Once you do that, it pretty much means that, hey, you're going to be collecting money from a client or a company or many companies, and it sets you up where you can make sure you pay taxes. That way the government's not coming after you, right? So once that's done, you're pretty much free to now start contracting, and it's important to figure out what rate should you charge. What is the market demand for your skill set? You got to make sure you incorporate holidays, because you're not going to get paid holidays from the job anymore, right? Any day you take off and not working, typically freelancers are not paid for those days. So most freelancers will build that into their rates and make sure that they're covered in the event that they, take Christmas off or holidays off.
And benefits too, right?
Yeah, they have to make sure they go through an outside party to get benefits as well. So I think that's a good maybe overview and intro. I'd love to
Mhm.
maybe, if there's questions, answer a few more. But again,
I
I'm not
have
an
a
expert
question.
here. Yeah, go ahead.
My first question. I did a little research on Toptal last night, of course, when we
Hmm.
were booking the show for you, and it looked like your particular agency is freelance centric, and it had a lot of support for the freelancer as
Right.
far as like skill building,
Hmm.
getting them work consistently. Because when somebody's question is there steady work in freelancing, I've been a freelancer so that I know it is. However, when you're on your own island, it's only as strong as your hustle. But it
Right.
looks like you guys have the infrastructure to bring in that steady work.
Hmm.
Can you talk about the support that you have around your freelancers to help them stay busy?
Yeah, and I didn't mention too, I kind of just raised by it, but just like the types of freelancers that we have at TopTal that we support, they're software engineers, designers, project managers, product managers, and finance people. So those are our five verticals, and within all those five, it just goes extremely deep. You can have all types of people: AR engineers, VR, blockchain. We talked about NFTs and crypto, and then on the design side, everything is very deep within those five verticals, and there's probably a ton of different disciplines that you can get to. So around the support system, which is really important, what makes TopTal unique is that, yeah, we're not just going to host your profile and try to connect you with clients, but we're going to keep you up to date with what are the most relevant skill sets to maximize your earning. For example, if you think about creating a website or any type of front end facing, software or piece of technology, you need a front end engineer, right? That's what's called a front end engineer. And for a long time, there are certain old technologies that were really people got up to speed with you. And I don't want like HTML, that's not really an old technology, but it's one, if you ask most current companies, they're not building things in HTML, they're building it in like React or Angular or Vue.js, if you're familiar with any of these. Anyway, so we had a lot of talent that were in the network who, had expertise in older technologies. And we said, hey, that's not going to keep you, getting paid. We need to train you. So we started, for example, a React Academy, and we said, hey, everybody who was good at these older technologies, we're now going to recertify you and teach you up on some of these newer technologies so that you can be relevant. And we do that across the board for all of the different areas to just really make sure that people are relevant and they have the right skill sets that our clients are looking for. Because it's good for us. It's good for us as a business, and it's good for them to stay relevant and make sure that when we do get a request from the client, that their profile comes to the top of that list. Other thing too, real quick, I'll highlight in terms of support. We also offer community support, right? So if I look at my Slack, for example, I have a community for everything, every country, because we're global. So I follow in particular our Africa, like Nigeria channel and South Africa channel, and they're always talking because every country has their own. How do I get set up as an independent business? How do I get paid? How do I get money? And they talk to each other. So we connect all of the developers as well and the different talents so they can talk to each other and continue to have that community within the network. So yeah.
Now, another question I have is like, so let's top three right now for
Mhm.
freelancing. What are you seeing right now for software developers in that realm? What's the top three skill sets are you seeing right now?
Yeah, so I tell you, Android and iOS engineering are for sure one that everybody is looking for. So Android developers with a focus on Kotlin, iOS developers with a focus on Swift. If you can develop apps in those two programs or softwares or platforms, you're golden. React engineering is another one, and that's like a really popular front end technology. On the design side, if you're just a good designer, like who can do user experience and user interface, those are always needed, within
Mhm.
our clients. They're always looking for good designers. And same thing on the product management side. If you are a solid product manager and you can think about how to create roadmaps for product development and how to, really think about what customers want and what users want and bring that to a format that you can get people on board with the vision and pass off to the engineering team to execute. Those are things that are in very high demand right now, at least a few.
Got you. Now, I know earlier you spoke on getting your I don't want out court to court. This came to my mind so quickly. Getting your 1099 and
Mm.
everything set up. But do you recommend within the company? Do y'all have like a partnership with people or companies so that could ease the flow for someone setting up their 1099 and maybe a recommendation for a company for benefits or something like that, or it's like just go out, figure it out, and then come to us when you're ready.
Yeah, we give a little bit of guidance in terms of, what needs to be done in terms of the phases, in terms of, hey, step one, profile, all that type of stuff, set your rate. Step two, we say pretty much what we say, consult and accountant. And because our network is global, the rules are different in every country, as I mentioned. So it's hard to recommend a one-stop shop, but we more or less give them the playbook in terms of here's what you got to do. And then within your specific geographies, that's where those communities really come in handy, because those communities, they kind of welcome each person into their areas, and they'll tell them, hey, this is what I've done. And when they're at, or some of the other people will ask, like, hey, I'm new to the network, what do you do here, how does it work?
Right.
So the combination of those two things, so we provide support, but it's not it's not a silver bullet, so to speak.
Right. Now you mentioned that y'all also do training. I'm assuming y'all partner with someone, or is that internal for that training? And then what are you normally skilling people up on? Because I can only imagine people can go outside and get stuff like cloud and
Mhm.
so forth. But I'm sure there's some one offs out there. I know COBOL was big at one point in
Mhm.
time for people to
Mhm.
go get trained up on because they were asking for it. But
Right.
you know better than I because you're on the inside there.
Yeah. So the training can really be anything, and we often like tell the talent, hey, anything you want to get trained up on, let us know. As long as it's reasonable and we think it's in line with what our clients are looking for, we'll pay for that. So if there's outside conferences, there's new technologies, there's like deeper niches of a certain technology, we'll kind of pay for that and sponsor it for outside training. And then internally, we have things like I mentioned, that React Academy or other trainings within like really top maybe 10 skill sets that we see clients looking for. We'll sometimes bring that training in-house and have experts in-house to actually make sure that we have a cohort of people as they come into the network, or if they've been in the network for a long time and need to have their skills refreshed, that we have a way to do that. So it's a combination of both, but we pretty much try to make it as open as possible. If there's something you want to get trained up on, we'll support it.
No, what I didn't hear was I didn't hear anything about security. I imagine some of these companies probably are turning internal to their companies, but I don't
Mhm.
know. Maybe you all see that. I don't know.
Yeah, security is interesting because if you ask most companies, they want to keep security in-house, right? Like that's not
Hmm.
something that they would say, hey, I'm going to let this contractor handle. And for us, we see that, but then we also do see a growth for people who want that expertise. And for us, it's really been like, can we develop the rapport to do that? Because there's nothing from a contract perspective or even from like a technology perspective that prevents us from working on security related things. Is really just, I don't trust you. Who are you? Do you have my best interest in heart?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a general thing. If I were to take a step back, is important for contracting, because we all need to be aware of that these companies are kind of bringing you into the company, and you need to kind of really integrate as a team member. Like think of it as like your business and you're actually part of them, and you're there to solve a problem. At the same time, you're part of that group. And it's something that we have to tell our talent. And it's something also that we tell our clients all the time. Like, don't leave the contractors outside. Bring them into as many things as possible to make them feel a part of the team. And that's how you're going to maximize value from them. So, yeah, security is a little interesting in that way.
And I D got questions backstage. I'm gonna get to those D,
Mm-hmm.
but I got
Yeah.
one other question. How
Okay.
what does it look like for someone to brand themselves?
Oh, that's good.
So
Yeah.
they have they know React, they know iOS, or they know Android, and they're they got a portfolio out there. I know
Mhm.
you say you all vet them, but what else should a person be doing to make sure that they're showing that you know basically I'm it like
Yeah, yeah, I can
when
definitely share with that. So obviously your resume should be together. Your LinkedIn should have your basic stuff of what you've done. So that's kind of basic 101, right? The people who go above and beyond and really get noticed and are seen as experts, they typically have a website, kind of just showing off like themselves, projects. If there's links they can share or screenshots, they put all that stuff on a website and pretty much say, hey, here's who I am, here's what I can do, here's where I've done it. And a little bit more expansive than just a LinkedIn page, because that just tells you text. They're showing pictures and they're showing either animation or things that, really highlight what they worked on. Take it up another level. These people also are now on LinkedIn as content leaders, right? So if you're an expert in a certain domain, one might expect you to be posting about this domain at a frequency that is kind of relevant, right? So maybe it's once a month, maybe it's more than that, but if somebody looked at your LinkedIn, they would be able to see that you are talking about this field, you're engaging other people about this field, and maybe projects that you've done. When you wrap up a project, you're posting maybe saying, hey, we just did this amazing thing, check it out. It's going to enable this client to do blah, blah, blah. And so there's a certain thing when people can look up your profile, because that's the same thing our clients do. When we give them the profile, they take the name and they Google it, or, same thing most employers would do. But for our contractors, it's even more, because they kind of don't trust us still. They're still trying to figure out, do they trust us, right? So they're doing a lot of that research.
Do you all do background checks, or does the client do background checks?
The client, we do now, and we do basic, criminal background checks just to make sure no felony charges, anything like that. But it's really up to the client to do that check. And the interesting thing about it is that some clients don't care. Like, they do not care. Some clients do care. Same thing, kind of as I mentioned about stuff they don't care about, and just like how this is really a really interesting space, is that we have a lot of talent too who don't even have degrees. They have no college degree, but they have spent a lot of time learning their fields and looking like an expert, and they are making the same amount as the people who have, on bachelor's and master's degrees. So, and the client sometimes will not care. As long as they can get the job done, it's fine with them, So that's another interesting dynamic to freelancing compared to maybe a traditional company where they definitely want that degree and diploma. So.
Right. Now, D asked, does Toptal charge the client or the freelancer, or both?
We do not charge the talent. So the way it works from a pricing perspective, if you are a talent, you figure out what you want to make, and let's just say they want to make $100 an hour. On top of that, and this is true for maybe all consulting companies or service providers, we have a fee that goes on top of that rate, and then the client pays the final. So the talent rate plus our fee equals the client rate, what they pay. Mm-hmm. And so we charge the client. We never charge the talent. Like, talent always gets what they want for the most part.
So now, how does one go about setting a price?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and it's really a little bit controversial right now, because we have some talent who charge really crazy prices, and we probably have some that are maybe undercharging. But here's a general line of thought. If you need to figure out what your skill set is worth, right? And there's a lot of different tools and websites you can do that, Glassdoor, et cetera, et cetera. Like, what are you worth for your skill set? And then you figure out, okay, well, do I want to be in the middle of that group, or I want to be maybe under? If you're under in terms of your rate, you're likely to have more steady work, because the rate is just very affordable. It's easy to put you on projects. It's very easy for clients to digest what you cost. If your rate is very high, a lot of clients will most likely pass you over, because it's too much. Even me as an account manager, I sometimes pass over those people, because sometimes they're way expensive, and sometimes, which is a whole nother subject, it's not justified, right? Their skill set, they might be only 5 years out of school, but they want, $150 an hour, which makes no sense. And so you have to find a sweet spot of what you want. And for some of those people too, I'll tell you, some of them are really good and the rates are really high, and they have a strategy that says, hey, I don't need to work all year. Like, it's okay if I get passed over by 50% of companies, as long as I can work for 6 months at this salary or at this rate, I'm going to be good for the other 6 months, because it's enough. So it's just different people have different ways they like to do it. But on average, our talent try to find a sweet spot where they can stay employed most of the year, honestly. If they're full-time freelance and they want to be charging every day, every hour, if they could.
Right. Yeah. Nadie also asked, does the freelancer have an account manager, or do they or do they request from anyone in different verticals? I'm assuming that she means like if you're in if you're a designer that there will be an account manager on the design side, or do you
Yeah.
just have someone that works with like I work with A through B and blah 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 blah
Okay, yeah, I can share that. So with TopTal, so for each of those 5 verticals that we mentioned, we have core team members, so people who are full-time paid on our TopTal staff that are specifically focused on that population of people. So let's take development, because development's our largest vertical. We probably have maybe 10 to 20 of what we call directors of engineering. And those are the people that know really almost everybody in the network. You know, we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of people, but they try to have a really good pulse on the network. And these guys are all also, you know, previous engineers, and they're my go-to. So the way it works is when a client gives me a request, hey, Bryan, I need an iOS developer, I engage my director of engineering. They help me talk to the client to flesh out the requirements, and then they go and open up a search. And because TopTal is a smart company, we pretty much have an app, and all the talent have an app. And as soon as we enter the search, and it has parameters, you know, must know iOS, must be in the US, rate needs to be below $75 an hour, you know, able to, you know, work nights, whatever it is. We put that out there, and then it'll match. You know, if that matches your profile as a talent, you'll get the alert. And then you can decide, do I want that job, or am I interested in that job, or do I want to pass on it? Do I not really care about that? And then from there, we look at all the people who've accepted, and then we start interviewing. We pick the best, and this is where typically I get involved to do another set of interview before I let the client interview, and then we typically give the client maybe 1 or 2 profiles that we think are the best. They interview, and if it's a hire, they get started.
Okay, so are the normal interviews like 1 to 2 interviews, 2 to 3 interviews, or
Yeah,
just
one to
whatever the
two.
client? One to
It's
two.
normally whatever the client, but we always tell the client 1 to 2,
Right.
because and typically 1, because it's so fast paced. You know, these talent, especially on the engineering side, like they have so much. There's so much demand that like this week, for example, I had a few jobs from clients, and every talent that I was given from my internal team, they said, "Hey, Bryan, this guy's already doing 3 interviews, so you need to move fast." And so that's what I tell my clients, like, hey, I need you to not just interview, but interview one time. And can you interview today? You know, because they're going to make a decision probably by Friday on another company if you don't make a decision quickly. So the freelancers right now have a lot of power, and it's great for them. It sucks for me normally. So it's a really interesting space to be in.
What is the length of time that you're normally seeing on work? Anywhere from 1 to 3 months, 6 months, a
Mhm.
year?
Yeah, it depends on the discipline, right? If you're finance and you're doing like strategy and operations work where you're kind of coming in with like very consultative, you know, stuff, that's probably shorter, maybe 2 to 4 weeks, something like that. If you're on the project management side, or really even on, let's talk about design. Design is also one that can be short, because most clients are going to say, hey, I need a design built. And then typically once you build a design, that person kind of goes away or goes to maybe a lower amount of allocation, maybe part-time or hourly, and then the developers build what they design, right? So anyway, let me not go around about it. So yeah, typically like it could be for engineers though. If you're a developer, typically 6 months,
Okay.
3 to 6 months. I have people on some of my accounts that have been there for 3 years, believe it or not.
Okay.
So really could range, and just depends on if the talent's happy, if the client's happy. Our engagements can last as long as they both would like them to, but
And
typically
then
around like 6 months.
are the environments mixed, remote, on prem,
Hmm.
or whatever? I know it's whatever the client wants, but
Absolutely.
what
Yeah,
is
no, 100%. Yeah. And our developers all over the world. So one of my biggest clients, I have a ton of folks in Europe, some folks in the US, some folks in South America. And the client is actually mostly at home right now. The whole client's at home, but they have offices in some of these corresponding locations. So it works out from a time zone perspective. That's also a good time to mention too, if we have a talent in Europe or somewhere around the world that's supporting a US client, they need to overlap with the US time zone. So that's
okay.
really important. So most clients say, oh, I don't want to work with Europe because they're going to be asleep by the time I'm awake. And it's like, no, like we tell all our talent, and the talent know this, if they want to be, you know, viable for working at US clients, they need to shift their schedule. So most of them kind of sleep in late, whatever, and they start working kind of in the afternoon, and they work into their nighttime so that they have overlap with US, maybe about 4 hours a day, 2 to 4 hours a day.
Mm,
So yeah,
gotcha.
we kind of bend over backwards to make sure we can support them, and that's how we can give all the clients like the global network, but still have US times and take US meetings and stuff like that.
Is blockchain? Are you seeing a lot of requests for people for like Rust and blockchain coming
Not
out?
yet. We have one. We have a few clients who are really deep into it. Like Arizona State University is a client, and they are really deep into like blockchain technology and leveraging it for a couple of different things. I have a new client myself that's popping up, going to be focusing on NFTs and blockchain and Web 3.0. I heard you talking about that, but it's I think it's the minority still at this point. Like
Mm-hmm.
even for us, like we don't even screen on. At least I don't think we do. We don't screen our talent on blockchain capability. A lot of them have it, but it's not something that's big enough where we are creating custom screening paths for blockchain, if that makes sense. But I would definitely imagine, and even for my particular client, I am looking for example, I'm looking for Node.js developers who I can train up in Web 3.0, so they can meet a
Mm-hmm.
certain client need. Um, so
And
yeah, not
now, what does training look like? So, hey, I have Node.js, right? But I need to get trained up. What does that look like? If 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 I submit my resume, but I don't
Mhm.
have is all the things that you need. Is that training a paid training, or is that training like you doing this on your own? You freelancing, you'll get your reward once you get the job.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the one I'm going through right this moment, because I have a client who's pretty much saying, I need Web 3.0 people, but they don't exist. Yeah, they don't exist yet. It's so new that they don't exist. And what he told me is that, hey, well, if you have Node.js people, I can train them I can train them up in Web 3.0. And some of it will be on the job because they have work to do now so that it won't be time to wait till they actually go through training. So I'll probably have a cohort of people who are Node.js developers who will on the job learn how to do Web 3.0. And then in parallel, while that's going on, I'm actually going to work with that particular client in terms of him helping us create a learning program or a learning training. So it'll probably be something that we host inside of Toptal, and it'll be similar to like that React Academy that I mentioned before,
Mm,
where we actually host it. We have an expert in house, and we are actually facilitating and guiding the future cohorts from Node.js to a Web 3.0 or certification. So that's how it would probably work, but it's still a little bit new.
right. And last question from D is: what advice do you have for elite talent looking to make a move to freelance?
Yeah, I think the people that I see that are most successful, I mean, they have some big name clients behind them. Like I said, if you had a job or could score a job at any of the big, software companies or design agencies or banks, whatever your specialty is, try to find some big recognizable clients that you can say, hey, I did this work for them. And it's not just the logo, but it's also like you have a story of like you helped them drive growth, you helped them build something. And
Right.
as many of those stories, exactly, as many of those stories as you can accumulate, that's going to be good for you jumping into a freelance area. Cause then that means that people are going to see your profile like, oh, wow, he's the real deal. Like compared to, we have a lot of people that probably are equally good, but they've worked at smaller companies and they normally, they get hired, but they just don't jump off the page as some of the other folks at some of the big companies. The other thing is just doing the other stuff I mentioned earlier, right? Like you need to look like an expert, like talk like an expert, like look like an expert. And you need to really just good at like time management because our freelancers, like they're not just like people who like quit their day job yesterday and join. These are people who've been doing freelancing for years. And so one of the biggest misconceptions we get from clients is that, oh, it's going to take so long to get them onboarded, or how are they going to manage their time? How are we going to know they're working? And these freelancers, like they're good at that. They know how to come in, ask the right questions. They manage their time appropriately. So even if they're hundreds of thousands of miles away, the client can feel that they are working, that they're adding value because they really practice on how to work remotely. Like
Mm-hmm.
we've been doing it for a long time. Even myself, I've been working remotely for 3 years. So when folks started doing it during the pandemic, they were getting used to it. But I've been doing this for a lot longer. So
Mm-hmm.
I know how to
Mm-hmm.
map out my day, my time, etc. So those are a few things. Happy to share more if people want to connect, but those are a few things that I say separate like our kind of basic freelancers from like the top of the top, and they get some top of the top rates. Believe it or not, $150 an hour, $200 an hour. These are the rates that some of our top contractors are getting.
Have you seen 500 an hour yet?
No, I'm sure it's there. And you actually made me want to go and search now. But if they were 500, that would not fly. I don't think any client would pay that for any amount of
I
service.
know it's some people out there that do that. So speaking of rates, so what I mean, does it always have to be a rate, or can it be like a total package? Like instead of $100 an hour, they may charge the client 10,000.
Not from from a Toptal side, yes. But so for example, what I mean with that is we are maturing to start to offer, solutions. So
Okay.
for example, instead of I'm going to give you one person and this one person costs $100 an hour, now Toptal is starting to say, hey, you have this problem, let me take care of that problem for you. It's going to cost you $50,000.
Right.
And on the backside, we are getting the talent to solve that problem. But from the client's perspective, like it's TopTal doing it as a team. And that's more consultative, like your Accentures and Deloitte's and
Right.
stuff.
Right.
And it's not something that we've traditionally done, but it's something that we're maturing into.
Right. Because from what I hear, people that do freelance, they don't like to charge hourly. Like they like to charge by a total solution approach.
Yeah. But yeah, if they're like
So
building like a website or something, like, oh, I can build that site for you for $5,000, $10,000. But because a lot of our people they're looking to, like, our clients are looking for these people to augment their staff, so it's not
mhm,
always about one project. It's about, hey, I was looking for a full-time hire, but I can't find one. I think contract is the right way to go. I might need you for 2 years. So at that point in time, you can't really put a total price on it. It's really, okay, well, here's my hourly rate. Here's how that moves into a yearly salary. Are we ready to move forward or not? So yeah, all of our talent we don't even hear any complaints with that. They go per hour. They seem to be fine with it because we're providing them long-term engagements.
now the other aspect I didn't hear, I heard product management, but I didn't hear anything about agile coaching.
Agile coaching will be under our project management vertical, and we
Okay.
definitely have a lot of agile coaches, a lot of certified agile folks, a lot of scaled agile folks, and then just traditional scrum masters and project managers. So all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of fits under that vertical.
Gotcha. Now, typically, what do you see as far as like length of engagement for those? Because I'm assuming that they'll
Mhm.
come in, train up someone else
Mhm.
on, hey, remove these blockers. Here's how you can conduct your sprints
Mhm.
and so forth. So, and kind of get it more of a leadership training
Yeah, some
situation.
of the really consultative, take on how do you do it. So those ones will be set up, and they are typically a lot shorter unless there's like a
Hmm.
lot of different teams, right? When I've seen those extend past, maybe 1 to 3 months, it's when, okay, I want you to come talk to this team and then rotate to this team and then rotate to that team. And if everything's going well, let's talk about scaled agile. So it just depends. But if you're
Hmm.
agile coaching, yeah, I would expect maybe a smaller engagement, and you're going to probably just have more engagements per year. Where a developer might just have 2 jobs a year, you may have 10, to keep
Right.
the same rate. So it's just interesting versus if you were a scrum master, and scrum masters are an essential part of the team all the time. So they're probably steadily on the team and they're steadily supporting the leadership of the client. And those folks are probably, on one particular company can stay for 6 months. So these are probably also decisions that a contractor would make. A contractor would likely maybe say, maybe I don't want to do as much agile coaching as I want to do scrum mastering, because it's easier in terms of finding, more jobs or less jobs.
Yep. And for me also, what I have noticed as being a freelancer is I can give you from my perspective what I've
Mhm.
seen is people wanted you to uh consume what they're feeding, right? In other words, hey, you need to be on board with everything that we're doing as a company, and
Mhm.
not necessarily give the pushback because
Mhm.
you're coming in, but also but give a reason why we shouldn't do it. So
Mhm.
to me, I've always looked at it as you are the subject matter expert coming
Right.
in
Right.
to not just necessarily augment the team, but also give direction.
Right.
From what I've seen. Now, I don't
Yeah.
know if that's something that you all talk about, or you're just like, hey, just assimilate like
No.
before?
We want people to. I mean, there's two things, right? I mean, even for us, like, and it's interesting that we do this, but once somebody is hired, we offer every client a 2-week kind of no risk trial, right? And that pretty much means you have 2 weeks to evaluate them further. And if you're not liking them and want to find somebody else, you don't pay for that time. And that's because, certain things can't come across during the interview, right? Like a cultural fit. Like you can kind of get an idea, but you don't really know till you start working with them. So there is one aspect of like, yeah, like you need to a point, like drink the Kool-Aid, get on board with the company's vision, but yeah, you are the subject matter expert. You should not be just saying yes to everything they say. And some of our talent do that. And they kind of come back and say, hey, Bryan, these guys are doing the wrong thing. And I'm like, well, tell the client, but figure out a nice way to tell them, or maybe I'll tell them, right? Because our goal is to add value. And if the client is taking the talent and the team down a wrong path, or maybe leveraging technologies that are not sustainable or scalable, like we do jump in and we say, hey, this probably isn't the best way to tackle that. Not everybody does it. We have had talents that probably have built things that were in the complete wrong direction, but that's not their job. Their job is to really kind of follow the leadership of the client. And that's where really we do push maybe to a Toptal project where we can actually be in charge. Like when we do staff augmentation, we give you a person, you are leading that person. So whether you lead them off a bridge or lead them to the promised land, that is your thing. Our deal is that we make sure we give you the expert with the right skill set.
Right.
So yeah, it's a kind of a balancing act between SME and assimilating and being a part of the team, hoorah and all that. Yeah, so I'd say it's a tough balancing act.
No, we did drop the link for everybody out there to if you got questions and you want to come up or whatnot, that's fine. Bryan's here to answer those questions. But I did want to showcase the website
Cool.
and as well too. So I'm on the website right now, and it's I see as soon as I get here, it's like put in the company name, and I'm thinking to myself, well, what company name am I putting in? I have no idea.
Right. Yeah, click on the bottom. No, thanks, I'm not hiring right now. Click on that underneath.
Hold on.
At the very, very bottom. At the very, very
I'm
bottom.
trying to see. Trying to see. Hold on. Let me make this smaller because it's not giving me anything there. Let me go back here and refresh. All right, here we go.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah, so that's actually kind of talks about some of those areas where we have talent. If you scroll up a little bit, these are those areas I brought up, right? Those different verticals. And the one on the bottom right is the new one we're kind of developing, which is projects, right? And that's where I said we're taking like larger scopes of work and we're delivering those. So this is interesting. If you click on that hamburger on the top left,
right here.
And this will be interesting. No, the 3-line. I call it like I don't know.
Look, that would be a UX thing. I'm not a UX. No, it was called a hamburger. It looked like
I don't know. It probably is not called a hamburger, but I'll just call it. So if anybody is looking in the future, this is pretty interesting. So you can scroll down. Actually, yeah, it's one of your questions. Most in demand talent services, right? This is what's most in demand right now.
Okay, AWS consulting.
Right. And if you scroll down, this is also interesting. And I always tell this to my clients. Hey, if you're curious and you want a bit of self-service, click on some of these things, right? So let's just, for example, you're under development right now. Just pick any of these, like data engineer.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that's asking about data engineer.
Yeah, I mean, this is a hot area, and this just shows you some of the profiles, right? So this is who you're kind of competing against, or this is what maybe some of our top profiles look like, right? I don't think the profiles make it to this side because this isn't everybody. These are kind of hand-picked people, skill sets. So if you click on Matthew's profile, for example, this is what we show to clients. When they ask for a profile and I give them somebody, we give them this link. The link goes to a profile, and you kind of get an idea of what they have. So this is also good for folks who are thinking about freelancing. If you are a data engineer and you're trying to see, okay, well, what do some of the other top data engineers have? Feel free to use this site as a way to kind of do a benchmark against yourself. Right? Like what kind of skills do they have? How do they talk about themselves? You can take these names and put them on LinkedIn and see how their profiles are structured. So you can see like this guy in particular, he has a ton of experience, right?
Yep.
If I had to guess, especially because he lives in New York, he's probably $125 an hour resource. So he seems very good. I know he's in an expensive area. He has a lot of interesting experience. So the same thing across all the different areas, right? It's gonna. Oh, actually, let me go back. I want to show you design real quick.
Okay.
Go to that hamburger again, or Are you able to get to that hamburger one more time? Yeah.
Yep.
And then go to like one of our design profiles under design. Design, any of them are fine. Desktop,
Okay.
yeah, pick anyone.
Okay.
And scroll down to just one of the first people. And so this is cool. So click J, view his profile. And this is interesting. So if you're a designer, it is a little bit different, right? So scroll down a little bit. We show your portfolio. So click on one of these. These are his projects. So I talked about your website. Every one of our designers always has a website, and it always has their portfolio. And what we did, we bring those portfolios in to Toptal so that our clients can click through and see their design aesthetic, how they do things. This guy is obviously very focused on, maybe user experience or something. So it's not like your flashy design. And this is where our clients will look at the profiles and say, nope, I need somebody who can really create like sexy websites, or who has experience making mobile designs or user flows for e-commerce. So I don't want to take too much time, but this is just a place where you guys can go and kind of look, and also do one thing too, like on your internet browser. If I can show you one thing.
What you want me to do? I'm in Chrome.
Yeah, Chrome is great. So just type in like data science or data engineer Toptal. You probably need a space in between that, but
okay.
Oh, there we go. You can click that right below.
Right here.
Yeah,
or
just search
in request.
No, just the top one. I mean, that's a whole other thing that we can talk about. But I was trying to just do a search. Okay, that's not where I was getting. Anyway, while you're doing it, I was just trying to show that if you search for any topic, whatever you do, and if you're interested, you can just search for whatever that topic is, put Toptal after it, and you're going to see profiles that match that, like most likely.
There it is.
Yeah, we got some competition that's always trying to like put stuff in front of our links, but right there, 11 best freelance data engineers, right? This may or may not be the same thing that we just pointed to. Let me see, is that same guy at the top of this? Yeah, he is. So yeah, if you don't go to our website, but like this is just more expansive, and if you don't have time to go to the website, whatever you do, put whatever that is, designer, data engineer, data scientist, Toptal, you'll see profiles, and you can, I mean, this is free. You don't need any access to do this. You can see like different profiles we have.
Let me look. I did AWS consulting.
Yeah, we got a whole breakout for this one, so we got a whole different area for this. So, yeah, so this is a little bit of information here. If you're interested in becoming a talent, like we've been doing this for 10 years now. So as you can imagine, a lot of the talent they talk to each other, they post on job sites like, hey, because we have to take an exam. There's actually like an exam or an interview process to get into the network. And but people talk about that, right? So if you're curious, you can go and kind of just Google Toptal, like you saw, Toptal interview questions, or how to prepare for a Toptal onboarding or whatever. This is cool too. These are other community meetings, right? So if you're part of the Toptal community, these are things we do around the world just to keep the community engaged. They're just events. They focus on different topics, but things that we pay for, that we sponsor, but they're just things to keep our freelance community engaged. Because that's the one thing you miss as not being part of a company, right? Like all those talks, fun stuff. And so we try to do that here to make it more than just a marketplace. We try to make it like its own little company within Toptal, even though they're freelancing. So I'm glad you found that.
Yep. Now, another question is Toptal hiring internal as well too?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a ton of jobs open right now. Actually, if you want to go to if you just search for Toptal careers on your browser, and it's crazy. When I joined the company almost 3 years ago, I was like number 500. We're about 1,000 people now, almost. And we're actively hiring, like even for like my role, if anybody's interested in account management, we are hiring like probably 10 client partners right now. So these are the list of all the different areas we have. Like we like I said, we maintain that app, the website, all the stuff you see right now. Our engineering team maintains all those different things. We hire a ton of engineers. This is where I fit. So like I said, my title is an enterprise client partner. We're hiring a few more of those. The telecom, media, and technology one is actually within my team. So we're still looking for that individual if you know anybody. Yeah.
Right. Now, what are y'all interview process like internal? Is it like a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? I've seen.
It's probably, I think, a 3. Like I mean, it's a little bit of time for me, but I think I probably had 3 interviews when I joined. and then we made a decision. So I think we're relatively quick. And for me, they try to do things in pairs, so that way it kind of cuts down. For our engineers, I'm not familiar with like our engineering
Right.
process. But wow, we
Yeah,
have
I
a
got
ton.
a ton of positions.
Yeah, a ton.
You're like, we got a ton of positions. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of positions open right now, even some intern positions, which is cool. We have, for example, one intern in Nigeria who started with us 6 months ago, and he's kind of on like a 3 month kind of trial period, and he's got hired to the team full time, right, recently. So that was something cool that we just started doing in terms of hiring interns. So yeah, a lot of opportunity. We're growing super, super fast. We're still a privately held company, so it's really interesting thought. And like Toptal may not be a company that you're hearing about a lot right now, but I guarantee it's going to start to become like top of mind, especially throughout COVID. People start thinking about different ways they can involve talent. You know, they start to get out of the mindset that everybody has to be a butt in the seat and everybody has to be full-time hire. And then same thing with the people, right? All of us and other people started saying, man, I don't want to do this. You know, I don't have to work like this. Why can't I be a freelancer and work at multiple companies? So there's been a huge shift in how people want to work, and companies have responded and started to accept that. And so companies like Toptal, and we're a leader in the space, but companies like Toptal are probably going to start popping up all over the place in terms of how we can support freelancers finding opportunities with companies. So it'll be very interesting to kind of keep an eye out.
Now, all the question that always come to mind too is, do most of your clients care about certifications, or is it the work that you have done that sets you apart, or is the work that you have done plus your certifications that set
Yeah.
you apart?
I mean, just to keep it simple, the work you have done is always key, right? Work you've done and what you can do. Certifications are icing on the cake.
Okay, all right. Well, there you have it. We don't have anybody backstage, right? I don't know where D went. I don't think she'll say yes or no or whatever. But and also, how can people get in touch with you?
I mean, I'm LinkedIn is good. So if you send me a request, I'm good on LinkedIn. Probably the best way.
Hold on, let me go to LinkedIn, and then let me go to Bryan Henderson.
Yeah. If you're searching for me brand new, I'm Bryan R Henderson.
Right here.
You got it.
You're the first one that came up.
Okay, cool.
And we're not connected, so I'll connect.
Let's connect.
Yes, we need to connect.
Okay.
All right, and I appreciate your time. I know you was like, I don't think I can do this. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Brought it home. Let me check and see. I don't think there were any questions, but let me double check. Or was there any questions? It was. It says it was. Well, it was asked earlier, but that we covered it. Is there always steady work and freelancing? And I think we covered it, depending on your rate and your talent.
Yeah, your skill set, your rate, your talent, all those types of things kind of play a role with how often you are to be hired, right? So,
yeah. And somebody had mentioned, see, something Chris had said. This is always, but somebody players in the workplace and made it tough for the rest of surveillance software that's growing in the marketplace. So I guess my final thoughts around this is, and you can answer this if you want to or not. How have you seen it since the pandemic? Have you seen a lot of brown faces coming in the door for freelancing?
Well, I'll tell you, our core team has had a lot more brown faces. I was number one at Toptal, believe it or not.
I'm not surprised.
So I started our Black at Toptal group, and we've been like trying to focus on referring and recruiting and hiring, and now we're at like I think close to 20, which is fantastic. But in terms of talent, it's hard to say. Like there's so many. Like the numbers that we screen are ridiculous. I want to say probably 500 a month of talent who are all over the world trying to come in. So I see a lot of brown faces. I don't see a lot of US based brown faces. I see a lot of Africans who come into the network who are really strong in Nigeria and South Africa and Lagos and other places there. I can tell you every time I get a chance to hire one, like I just did last week, I got a chance to hire one to a client. It was fantastic. I can also tell you that I have clients. One of my big clients is Yahoo, and my CTO always asks me, Bryan, can I get more diverse, talent? And we don't have a way, like most companies don't have a way to go find, we don't segment our talent in that way. But I'll keep an eye out, and every now and then I'll look, and I'll kind of go to the community sites, and when people are on board, I'll kind of peek and see where they're from and try to keep my own short list. But most of the time, like it's not something that I'm not seeing a huge number,
Right.
right? So it's unfortunate, but every time I do get a chance to recommend somebody or place somebody, I'm always very much so eagerly trying to do that.
Right.
There's not enough of us, so it's something I would love to see more of us go into freelancing. I love it.
Right. Right. You did have a question: is how are potential conflict of interest issues handled?
You mean like if a talent worked at like a Apple, and then now they're gonna consult for Apple, something like that, as a
Or
contract type,
maybe you work at Apple and you consult for Yahoo, or you
like a
consult
similar
for
company, Amazon or something.
yeah.
Um, Yeah, it really depends on the talent, right? If they worked at a company, most of them would know if they had a, 1 year, 2 year cooling off period. So we always ask that question if we see it on their profile, if they had a cooling off period. If it's a competitor company, there's no issue with that. Like typically, even the cooling off periods are when like you work for like maybe a direct competitor, like especially in it's more special if you like are in the consulting space, like from Accenture to Deloitte or Deloitte to KPMG. But if you're working from Apple, like people all the time today, right, go from Apple to Amazon full-time hires, right? So there's typically not an
Mhm.
issue with that. Um, but more specifically, if you have an NDA, which most people do, you can't go and create the same thing, right? That's how you get sued. If you created a new Apple Music player and you know all the code by heart, you can't come to Amazon or consult through Toptal and say, "Hey, I know how to create a new music player and it's going to look just like Apple's." That's where we're going to have a problem. So we do need to be a little bit careful of that. And some of it is common sense, and some of it is what we help out with to ask questions and make sure we don't
Right.
get in trouble.
Right. And I guess my last question is centered around that. Does it make sense to go ahead and have a lawyer review that working agreement before it's signed, especially like
Mhm.
if you work at an Apple and you're gonna go work on something else? Should you
Right.
just get a lawyer to review what that working agreement is on your part time? I don't want to say part time, but on your freelance side.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have like agreements like that they can review. Because even during the interview process, when the client says, "Great, we're going to move forward," there's nothing on paper saying they're here to build XYZ. Like even our contract is a one-page addendum to our main contract, and it just says like, "Hey, here's the talent's name, here's the rate. They're going to be a software engineer, and here's the hiring manager." We don't go into detail with what the work is. I'm sure some people have probably done it. If they do talk to the client, the client's like, "Hey, well, now that you're here, I want you to build this thing." And the talent's like, "Huh, that's kind of really close to the thing I built over at Apple. Let me talk to somebody." I'm sure that's come up, but it's not something I normally see.
Got you. Now,
Yeah.
my last little question. So, uh, is there a lot of work coming out of Africa,
Mm.
and looking for talent, or is it Africa is has the talent and they're looking for
Right.
work elsewhere?
Yeah, we don't have people like myself and salespeople in Africa to chase clients. We are chasing
Okay,
them, for example, in like Canada and APAC and EMEA, but we don't have like salespeople in Africa. So I don't know
gotcha.
if there. I'm sure there are people, but it's more so the latter of what you're saying. Like we have U.S.
Okay,
based companies who are looking for talent, and they can come from Africa. So they come from Africa or all over. Um, so
and
yeah, that's
do they need visas?
They
When
don't go
they
anywhere. It's all virtual, right?
okay,
So
so they
every
okay.
single
So
one
I
of our
don't
folks.
know. I've never had to do it.
Yeah,
So
it's
okay,
all virtual. Even our folks in the US, right? It's so funny. I live in LA, and I had a talent for Verizon, and Verizon wanted the project manager. We found somebody in LA, but the guy like lived in the valley. The talent was by in Culver City, and it was like a 40-minute drive, and the talent's like, "I'm not doing it." Like I became a freelancer to stay in my house. I'm not driving anywhere. And I just couldn't believe it, but that's what he wanted to do. And we had to let him go. But yeah, everybody's virtual. And some of our clients do say, "Oh, well, can you come every now and then?" And some talent will say, "Yeah, I can." But for the most part, especially throughout the pandemic, everybody's working from their homes.
Right. And someone asked why are so few US black and brown people hired? I think that comes down to we're not applying. Um,
Yeah, I mean, not just not hired, like we're not, our network is smaller. If I had to guess, like most of the rest of kind of tech and product development, metrics, like we're not like the majority. There's so few of us, especially, I mean, it's already a small amount of us. And the small amount of us are used to traditional careers. Like I want to be a great engineer and go work at Apple or work at Amazon, work at whatever. So
mhm.
few of us have now said, I feel so good about it that I want to be a freelancer. So
Right. Right.
right? I
I
mean,
don't.
that's a whole different
Yeah.
level.
I haven't built up enough trust. I haven't built up enough skill set. I don't think in order to make that leap. And then
Right.
what I personally have seen is in particular when it comes down to just from just the men that I've encountered in
Mm-hmm.
tech is I gotta take care of my family. I gotta make sure that I got a steady check. I gotta make sure I got the insurance behind that,
Yeah.
and if I get sick, then all everything goes from sugar to shit real quick.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
so that's what I have seen when it comes to that. But I think the flip side, I think the and from what I gathered from you
Mm-hmm.
was what can be done is you can correct me if I'm wrong. You can work full time, but then grab 20 hours or
Exactly.
something like that to
Even it's
supplement.
hourly. Exactly. Because the lowest you can do is like hourly. And that just means, hey, I might have 5 hours a week this week. I might have 10 hours next week. And some clients are okay with that. Most do want more time, 20 hours a week or 40, but some are okay with just hourly. So it's a good way to kind of dip your toe in the pool, so to speak, and just see if it works for you. And if so, and as you get more and more clients, then you switch. That's
Mhm.
typically what I've mainly see. Nobody, I don't think anybody, unless they're really, really good and they have a good understanding of how to do it. Nobody just quits their job and just says, I'm gonna be a freelancer and just figure it out. That's kind of that. I'm sure people do it, but it's probably not the main way people do it.
Right.
But yeah, I think for a lot of like black and brown people, I don't think we know it's as lucrative as it is, and we don't know how to do it. We don't know how to set up ourselves as 1099
Hmm.
contractors and for the most part, just like if we made it to Apple or wherever, we probably feeling pretty daggone good, like
And we're just gonna ride it
like
out, and
yeah,
that's
what
why
else?
and that's why on this on at Women in Linux, just in our group, that's why I push, like, if you're gonna work, at least get paid, right?
Right.
So if you're gonna work, at least try to aim, for me in the group, is try to reach the 200K goal. So
Mm-hmm.
now you can start talking about accredited investor, you can do
Mm-hmm.
pre-IPO, you can do all these other things. If you're not gonna do that, and you're not going to reach that goal, supplement it with something else. But remember,
Right.
every time you supplement, it's less sleep you get.
Yeah, more time. And yeah, and that's fine for as long as there's a plan, right? And that's
Right.
fine for temporary, but
Yep.
that can't be the long-term plan if I'm gonna just work all of these jobs. So
Right.
I agree with you, and it's good to be talking about those numbers because a lot of like I was telling a colleague recently when I was with Accenture and I finally made $100,000. I was like, "Ooh, I made it! I'm so good!" Like I don't really have to do much more. And then I started realizing, man, people over here are making 120, 150, 200, 300. And I'm like,
300.
whoa. I was like, I gotta set my sights a little higher. And like,
Yep.
what do I have to do to get that? And I started doing the same thing I recommended. I started looking at people's profiles of what were they doing. I'm like, well, I'm
Yep.
not that far. Let me go ahead and get this
Yep.
certification. Let me get this. And I'm asking for the big bucks next time, So it's good to know that, and it's good to talk about that because you just sometimes don't know, and you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes you think your
Right.
current situation is good, and it could be a lot better, and sometimes it could
Right.
be a lot better for less work.
Exactly. And that's
Like
why I encourage people to go out. I do it now. I go out and I'll scan like the ladders, I'll scan
mm-hmm,
different websites for what what skill sets are you looking for right now,
mm-hmm,
and then what is the pay? Because I need
mm-hmm.
I need to know where we're moving in the industry, so I know when someone comes to me like, so hey, what are you looking to get paid?
Exactly,
I'm looking at
exactly.
this. I don't care what Glassdoor says. I don't care what I no. This is where I need to be at, and
Mm-hmm.
here's the skill sets that I have acquired on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and this is what the project that I have done with those set of tools, so you
Exactly.
can get that. Oh, and by the way, I made a video about it.
Exactly.
So now, when you look at it, it's like, oh, what else? What more do you want from me?
Right.
What
Pay
more
me
you
my
want
money.
from a
That's
player?
it. Pay me my money. Um,
Run me
yeah.
my ducats.
Exactly. Yeah. I couldn't. Yeah. Exactly.
You had two questions here, or I think it's one question. Is there a period of time in which Toptal manages your employment relationship with the company? With the company, the person was placed in, like a 90-day grace period.
Yeah, typically during that first 2 weeks, that's when we're really hands on because we all want to make sure you pass your trial.
Okay.
After the 2 weeks, if it's really strategic for me as a client partner, because I want to make sure that it's going very well, I will probably continue to stay involved. But it's something that is on a case by case basis. It's not something as a practice that we do.
I got you.
I'll kind of keep it short there.
Got you. So 2 weeks was is your answer. All
Mhm.
right. I promise that was my last one. That is my last one. If you want to stick around, Brian, you're more than welcome to stick around. If you want to leave, you're more than welcome to leave. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
I'm glad you reiterated some things that I have been saying. In order to get in these spaces, we need to show up in these spaces. And,
Hmm.
and that's why I wanted to bring you in and showcase, like, okay, we talked about getting a job, but let's talk
Hmm.
about how you freelance and be
Right.
the master of your own domain.
Exactly.
You set what you want to get paid.
Yeah.
You set how long you want to work for. You set
Hmm.
how you want to move. I
Hmm.
want to work these additional 20 hours for the next 3 months. uh
Hmm.
you can break it down, so you call it criminal money, whatever you want
Hmm.
to
That's your Christmas shopping budget right there. Yeah.
do. Right? Or
Yeah.
you can say, I know I want to take a set of classes, and so I want to do this. Or I got a trip that I want to pay for my family, so I
Hmm.
want to do this. Or my kids getting ready to go off to school, or whatever the case may be.
Whatever it is. Yeah. And that's the thing.
Again,
Like for me, and I was gonna say, I always tell my daughter this, like my biggest goal is to always have flexibility, So how do I get as much skill set where I can get whatever the salary I would need so that I can be flexible? Even right now, I would not take a higher paying job over the flexibleness of my job right now.
mhm,
And that's because I'm at a point where that's what's important to me. But until you get to that point, it's like you gotta keep on working the plan.
right,
But anyway, it has been a pleasure. Please follow me on LinkedIn if y'all want to talk more. If you're interested in freelancing, just check out our website, do some more research, and then I'm happy to help connect and guide through the process. But this is definitely a space to kind of really consider once you're getting to that level of expertise in your career or working towards it.
right. Or even
We appreciate you coming out.
I even say, like, just dip your toe in and just do an
Yeah.
interview just to see, like, what is it that you need to brush up on.
Right, right, right.
Right.
So happy to help if there's any other questions, and I really appreciate you having me. All
All right, thank you.
Alrighty.
right,
Have a good
thanks a
night.
lot.
Have a
Bye.
good night. All right, people. There you have it. We always talk about it, like, hey, get your skill set up. How do you make your money? How do you do this? How do you do that? Right? So the reason why I wanted to bring that up, because you are a business, right? You are a business, so you have to treat your skill sets and yourself as a business. um you control that domain, right? You heard them 1 to 2 interviews, take a stab at it, see if you even like it, get hired, set yourself up and keep it pushing. If not, you can always work internal as well too. So that's why I wanted to see, like, what jobs they had internal to the company, right? Not only do they have internal jobs, there's external jobs, and from sounds like most of them are U.S. based and Canada based. So you'll probably be switching time zone depending on the company and what their need and what that talent pool looks like. So I enjoyed it. I wanted you to see what was out there, from your perspective, like, give you a different lens on how to how to use your skills, right? You don't always have to be applying for a job to work 5 years or 3 years. Maybe you work a job for 5 years and you freelance every other year or something like that. But just
There's
a way
options.
Yeah, and then not only that, you don't have to have that income, that the additional income that you're making be counted against you. It can be a business that it goes into a whole different type of structure. Always go seek a CPA, tax write-offs for that, and the whole nine. So it's just a different opportunity to get into. Anybody backstage, D?
Of course not.
Drop in the comments and tell me what your thoughts are. You said
Um, Hold on. We got a
yeah,
question.
get to
It
deductions.
says,
Yeah,
"Where can I
where
find
can I
projects to
find
work
projects to work
on?
on?
I would like to feel." Go ahead, Tamika.
It depends on. I'm not sure what your skill sets are. When you're talking about finding projects to work
To
on.
build up skills on the real world. You know, we get a lot of we use if we don't get volunteers through Women in Linux, we use a service um, called Catch a Fire to find volunteers. And one thing that I like about Catch a Fire, compared to some other places out there, is that they kind of pre-package your project for you. So they have different verticals like um, marketing, your events, technology support, and all that other type of stuff, you can always volunteer for an organization and to build up your skill set. And a lot of people that I get, that's what they're doing. They're kind of padding their resumes. Also, there's a whole bunch of gig economies like UWork and Fiverr, and basically going to meetups so that you can work on projects. Um, I know we're going to bring back our project based learning. We were working on a data center, building a data center, and I like those type of projects myself. So those are the things that you can work on, getting your hands dirty, and find, like I said, finding groups that are doing more hands on things and building your lab and get with other people in the group to go ahead and do this type of stuff and go into AWS and look at the documentation. Like you can do things on your own as well. And like Tam always says, document that journey, record yourself, being able to being able to teach someone else, come back and teach a class on what you've learned. It doesn't have to be an hour, it could be a 15-minute session. I think a lot of times we overthink what skilling up can be or something new in our lives, and we really talk ourselves out of it and get paralysis of analysis about it because we put it so up here instead of just biting, making one bite at a time. Like you can just do a little something. Start an hour a week. You know what I'm saying? Do 2 hours. Like build it into your schedule. You don't have to just conquer the whole mountain in one day. So
Mm. Now, what I did want to go over was on it on here on their website, on Top Tile's website. Um, a lot of people ask about like how to get in from a non-tech. They don't want to do tech, but here's some stuff right here: a senior writer for business, a senior writer for future work, a senior writer for software and technology, a social media director, an SEO, unless you're into SEO, outreach specialist. And I think Google has an SEO certification that you can get. But again, let's look at people, what they have under here: HR generalist, people specialist, a senior recruiter, practice let's see, practices and delivery, go to market strategy, head of practices. So that's just different um avenues to get in terms of tech. A communication specialist, a director of talent and matching, um, a technical recruiter, a technical account manager. There's probably a little bit more in detail for that. But again, there's also sales, and I'm just showing you stuff like when you go look at companies like Amazon, you don't have to look at Amazon and be like, oh, all Amazon has is technical stuff. Amazon has a ton of things. Apple has a ton of different types of jobs, right? The goal is to get into the company, learn on the side some other things and then maneuver throughout the company, right? So that's really how I envision most people getting in, right? You get into a company, like if you, even if you just looked at Google and their jobs. So let's go Google jobs and see what kind of careers they got, right? Let's go careers here. And then job types. Oh, they don't have a job based upon what you call it. Let's see, locations. Of course, it's got San Francisco, London, but here you could just see just up here, just at the top, what they have, right? Public relations incubation lead, a program manager, a product manager, uh, account manager, and I'm sure there are. I remember back in the day, Google had different companies that were hired for their data centers. You wouldn't really find the data center stuff. They would contract that work out, and then they would hire you to come in and build out for their data centers, right? Associate commercial counsel, right? Whatever that is, right? So just when you go look, just look up different jobs and what they're doing. So here they are hiring for Fitbit, for YouTube, for Wing or whatnot. So you can just go, just let's do YouTube, and then global program manager, partnerships enablement, partner engagement manager, um, director of engineering at YouTube, um, technical solutions, product, an analytical consultant, government affairs, and public policy manager. Let's click on that. I'm just curious what kind of work you would be doing there. Bachelor's degree or equivalent, 10 years of working on technology policies within government, think tanks, public interest groups, and related industry associations. Experience with internet technologies, the policy, the political environments that surround them, right? Remember that data is over, that data in that country, and those rules in that country for YouTube could be totally different. You hear about Google and Amazon and Tesla getting sued all the time based upon some type of public relation when it comes to data, or somebody's getting sued, or censorship they didn't have, or you got to have X, Y, and Z. It's always, always, always something. So these are just things. So if you're a lawyer, you could probably be a lawyer at Red Hat. You could probably be a lawyer at Google or what have you. Or if you're looking to get into real estate, Google hires people for real estate. Amazon hires people for real estate. So it's not all tech, but again, it's just another way to look at the
There's still
industry.
companies.
Yeah,
Like there's still businesses. And I had this conversation the other day. I was like, if you know business and you have the fundamentals and the core and you're a business person, you can go into any industry and tell them about their business. So again, it goes into changing that mindset. Is that okay? Let's go in there. Let's take a look. Let's go and see what they have available. And maybe I'm going in as the same person I am now. Say that I work, like you said, in accounting at this place. I'm going to move over to a tech company in accounting. But you know what? I want to get in security. So once I get in as an accountant, I want to see what type of security jobs that I have. Hey, forensic accounting might come up. That's an opportunity. So it's definitely all about leveraging yourself in any instance. So um also, when we do the same thing every week. We've been doing the same thing for like 5 years. We never stray from our formula, and everybody
we did
always
this
wants.
year.
Hmm?
We did this year.
I mean, we got more visible this year as far as us because we didn't have conferences to go to in that respect. So our travel schedule was cut back. So we just made ourselves a little bit more accessible. But when you're looking at these job opportunities and you are reverse engineering these job opportunities, This is how you create your career path. This is how you find out what skills that you are lacking. And you don't have to go and grab 20 job descriptions. Start about 3 and do a simple Excel spreadsheet or write it down on a notebook piece of paper and see what skills that are needed. And then go look up those technologies and see if it's something that, again, spend an hour looking into it, a weekend, and see if that's something that you even want to invest your time in learning. You might want to go in a different direction because coding, I say that it's an art form. My hardcore software developers agree. It is an art form. Some people are smart enough to pick it up and start coding is something that they like. Others, not so much. You don't really want to be mediocre in it at all. So a lot of these things, if you don't want to lean towards programming, then there's opportunities out there where you don't have to. It's just
Yep.
that simple.
Yep.
I think when people say tech, they put it on like MIT level tech stuff. And usually some conference we go to, everybody's in marketing. And we just like, this is not technical. It's a tech company, but you're not technical. And marketers market their careers in tech. And you think you're going to learn something really, really great about some new technology. And they're like, no, I just do marketing at a tech company.
Yep. And the other thing you should probably want to use this for is the top people that are on this site that uh, are probably pulling in the 125, 150, 200 an hour or whatnot. Whatever skills that they've been, whatever tools and skills they've been playing around and dipping in, I would implore you to go out and try to look those things up. Like, where can you gain those at? And then I would even take it one step further. Go look those same people up on LinkedIn or Twitter or social media itself, and then see if you can have a conversation with them, just to say, hey, I'm interested in moving towards freelancing, or I'm interested in doing this. What are some of the books that you have read? Yeah, mimic their skills. What books have you read? Do you recommend anybody that I should be following on YouTube, or what books did you use to acquire more skill set? What projects did you get involved in, whether it's an open source project or whatnot? And the only reason why I'm saying that is you're gonna decipher from what they have done for, and what they did for what works for you. I'm not saying do everything, but you'll decipher what works for you. And then you'll have your niche. Like we talked about it before, the T shape. I don't know if you ever heard about the T shape in tech, right? T shape in tech. Let me see if I got it. All right, so um, let me see. Let me see. Here is it. Let's do T-shaped skill sets. Right. All right. So here we go. Right here. Um, if it's an I shape skill set, and let me blow that up. That looks a little small. If it's an I shaped skills, if an I shaped skill set is very deep in one area, that's not much else. A T shape is a skill set that's deep in one area, the vertical part of the T, with some general knowledge in others. So, like I say, as you start out or as you go along, you're gonna have and this is why I like DevSecOps, because it gives you that T shape, right? You'll be really, really, you'll have a good understanding of like how to use Terraform, how to use Ansible, how to use Git, how to do this and how to do that. But it'll be something that catches your eye, and you'll go vertical in that, where you'll get really good at automation in terms of using Ansible or Puppet, or in terms of using Terraform, It just keeps you in that way. And it says here, I find T shapes to be good at putting together a broader picture or investigating areas. Think like a business system analyst, project manager. Their broad skill set allows them to be more easily allows them to more easily interface with other groups and understand new topics at a higher level. I always tell you to look at stuff from a 50,000 foot view and then drill down, right? And then that's what it is. That's what the T shape is, right? But here they also says that while their single deeper skill set can have them either leading or assisting, whereas I shape would be just you just be single in that one thing. These individuals can take the place of an I in some areas, but you need to be careful since the depth of the T tends to be shallower than that of an I. And then they talk about the upside down T and so forth. But I dropped this link. I had to drop this link so you could look at it. But if you are a freelancer, you will, depending on what you're freelancing on or in, you will probably want to use this as an example or a model, and you probably want to use this as an example or model on the teams that you're in, that you're working on. Like you may know something about the SRE team and you know how they work and you know how they're integrated and so forth. And you may know the actual work of what the other teams are doing really, really, really well, but you may not know another team over here so well, but you have an idea. And so you understand how they all integrate together, right? It's all about the integration of it when we're
Right.
looking at
And
it.
then you hone, and then you know that integration, and then you hone your skills on the job. Every job is different.
I say hone your skills at home too, right?
I do, especially while you're waiting on a opportunity. You can definitely find resources to work. Again, when I started learning, the mocks online were totally different than what they are now. A lot of resources to help you learn online studying, we are more project based. I'm a project based learner as well. I need to be hands on with those things. So there are things that you can do. But again, every job is different. You might go into one thing and they might have a critical need somewhere else and might shift you to something else and then you might go back. So who knows? Just be open.
Yep. And the other part of that is, um, as you're on your journey, um, and you're building out your skill sets, this gives you the ability to be like, I don't want to work with you no more, so I'm gonna quit. So now you have that ability to bounce if you want to. You got the ability to go other places. Why? Because you've honed in on your skill sets. You understand how teams work. You understand um just business, right? And that's the other part too, that we don't do a good job of, is when we get in the company, we don't focus on the business of the company. Like how do they get clients? How do they get work? How do they interact with it? Like what is that, right? Because when you start learning that part, as well too, now you're gonna understand how you are a business and how do you get clients and how do you get work and how do you say, okay, I got all this work coming in. I need to supplement this. I need to get somebody else on to do this part. And so now you become not only the business and a brand, but now you're starting to grow a team. And now you're managing that team and managing that work. So just other ways to think about how all this works. Like again, if in case I always try to show you the numbers, because I think numbers are important. Let me show you the numbers here. So if we say that you're doing 100 and let's say you're doing 120 an hour, let's say you're doing it for 20 hours a week. Let's just do 40 hours for 2 weeks, right? So that right there is 4,800 for 2 weeks. Um, and you're 1099. So that's your 4,800 in your business, or in your brand that you did, right? So that was for 20. So 20 20 times 4 is 80. So let's go back and do 120 times 80, and let's look at that for so again, we're roughly almost at 10 grand a month, right? On your side hustle, right? I've seen numbers from 175 to 200 an hour. It is also uh, company dependent on that. So um, again, if you're doing 120 an hour, 9 times out of 10, they usually do 1.5. So 120 plus 60 is 180. So 120 plus 180, um, that's usually probably what they're charging the client there is $300 an hour. And so you take that and multiply that by 80. That's 24,000 a month for one employee. Say they had 100 employees at that rate. That's what they're bringing in on a monthly, for that, right? So you start thinking about, like, okay, if I'm working, right, and I need to hire somebody. Say you take a hit, you do the 120 an hour, and you divide that up, and you pay somebody maybe $40 an hour to do the work, and you take, the 80, right? So you still make out some money. You're still giving up something, but you're accomplishing a goal. You're building up your rapport. You're building up your trust with that person. Like, get somebody you can trust. That's first off. Get somebody you can trust, and get somebody that can do the work, that can deliver. Not somebody that be like, well, I get back to you when I get back to you. I don't know, but no, you need to be on that, right? So that's just an idea I want to share out with you, for that. And let us know what your thoughts are. uh D could drop the link one more time. Let us know what your thoughts. Don't forget to get the likes up. Don't forget to go follow Bryan on social media. And tell us what your thoughts are up here or in the chat. As we do this again, this was our meetup tonight. This is why we went live. Oh, we do have more coming. If you're on our YouTube channel, don't forget to hit the notification bell as well too, because we got a lot of stuff coming up. I need to go to our meetup. Our page. Let me see what we got coming up, D. Let's see. We got Keith Townsend coming up on Friday. You don't want to miss Keith. We do have on How We Linux on the 22nd. Is that who is that? Is that Brian?
Bryan R.
Is that Brian Lyles? Okay, and then see tonight, Friday. Okay, yeah. So we got two more interviews coming up, with some heavy hitters. Uh, really want to check those people out, as well too. When we do it, and we're also going to be doing tech stocks and jobs this week, and probably on the 24th to the first, we'll probably won't do anything else. May go live like once, but probably be it for us for the year. From that perspective. Um, so anybody backstage, Steve, before we get out of here?
No, they in the bed
They in the bed. They ain't coming up.
eating chips with crumbs on their chin. Hey,
What's going on,
Destination Dad.
Destination Dad? How you doing?
Also, you mentioned something in regards to, when you have your skills that you can bounce to something else. I also want people to also this is also a holistic approach. You want to make sure that you're okay at this stage in the game. I can see if you just graduated from college and you still need to get out in the workforce and find out, what you're willing to put up with and what you're not willing to put up with at this point. But you have to know what you're willing to do. You know what I'm saying? Because some situations, some people's attitudes, some environments, some energies, you're just not gonna be able to tolerate. And just don't go in there fooling yourself like you're gonna be okay, because it's gonna manifest some way. And we don't want to see you on the news at 5, 7, and 11. Absolutely not. So there's a lot of tests out there, like career tests and things of that nature. I take them just to see where I'm at, and if like where these tests lead me to, and to say, is that where I really want to be? I can see that. Or hey, maybe I need to think about that. Like right now I want to be a little bit more creative. What type of environments within tech are going to allow me to be more creative? So, you
Yeah.
know, stick
Um
your toe out there.
yeah, LinkedIn has like some training, like you can do, like you can prove your skills and stuff like that on LinkedIn. So that's good. Another place to go is Hacker Rank. Let me get the thing out here. Let me go just straight to their site. So for job seekers, over 16 million developers, you can sign up and code. But let me go back to where I was at because I think it got me logged in. Yep. All right. So like if you want to prepare for something, you can do like here, like let me bring this up. Algorithms, data structure, C++, the Linux shell, right? So let's go and let's click on the Linux shell. So there's like let's echo, looping and skipping, a personalized echo, world of numbers, comparing numbers. Out, and then they tell you, right? They said it's hard, medium, and so forth, and then they give you like you could, so you want to brush up on your skills, you can come here and just start brushing up on your skills, right? And so they got a slew of stuff in here to do this with. So you just brush up on the skills. If we go back and let's say you've never really did anything with databases and so forth, you can click there. If you click on data structures too, that's another one. Another thing I want to talk about as well too, artificial intelligence. A lot of people are like, oh, I need to get a degree with that and so forth, right? And that's not necessarily true. um, Google has and AWS has a lot of different applications that you can use that abstracts you away, that abstracts away from you having to learn AI, but how you can leverage how to use their tools to have AI solve a solution for you. So I implore you to look at, because I was going through this the other night, well, actually last night, and I was thinking about doing using Terraform to build out a solution in Google, but it would leverage AI and show you how you can use AI inside of Google to create your application and then solve for that application. Like they have, Google has one where you can look at a video and define who that person is in the video. Google AI video, yeah, transcription, like not transcription, but it's just a yeah, video AI, right? Where basically enable content discovery and engaging video experience, precise video analysis over 20,000 objects and places, actions in a video, extract rich metadata of a video shot or frame level, create your own custom entity labels with AI auto ML video intelligence, and gain near real time. And so basically I could take a video that we that you somebody from Freaknik 1990 93 and upload it into here, and then create extracting who was in the video, the faces, and so forth and so on. But again, we can't hear you. That's a good thing. We can't hear you. We cannot hear you, Dion. We
What
cannot
I
hear.
said was, I said, leave us 2000 folks out of your ML. Let our shenanigans be left down there in
No,
the
we're
99
gonna take
2000.
these. We're gonna take them old VHS tapes. We're gonna strip off that. We're gonna upload that data into the console, into Google. We're gonna pull out. We're gonna hone in on. We're gonna get the marks out, the little lines. You know how VHS had the little lines in there when you go play it back. We're gonna strip that out. We D. I know you in a video.
You know what? I was behind the camera. I got a VHS right now in this box in my office of some Freaknik shenanigans from 95. And I'm never going to let you listen to it, because when I tell you, you are always on, my few little California words that I have kept over the years. But this, when I listen to it, I'm cringe worthy. I'm like,
It's all right. Get in the core. Get in the core. But yeah, so again, I want to do just different things like that, because that creates projects. Those projects, then you can hand that GitHub repo off or GitLab repo off to someone to keep enhancing it. We can enhance it as a team, and then and go from there. Yeah, yeah. D was part of the whoop that shaka laka lock. Oh, what's the
yes,
video?
yes, Dale. I went to Freaknik. I was there in '93. I was actually, that was my senior year in high school. We
George.
actually left the day it started, so I didn't get to see it. But I got like some pre-Freaknik for the high schoolers on in the AUC campus, as much as I was going to get. And then I went back in '95 because I was in college, and I had some friends that were in Tuskegee at the time meet me down there. And my scholarship foundation, we had a couple of kids that were like at Morris Brown and at Clark, and what else was down there? Yeah, Morris Brown and Clark at the time. And shoot, we went down. We went and it was college.
Yeah, D got videos. I'm so glad I was in the house.
Yeah, I'm behind the video, Linda.
I'm,
I'm behind the video. I'm not in the
I'm
video.
so I'm so glad I was sheltered and was in the house. This is not my life. I'm
Now
sorry.
she's over all that pearl clutching. You know, she those is lies. Tamika is from Atlanta. They've been freaknicking since Sharon's showcase. She's from Atlanta.
Sharing
Don't let her fool
showcase.
you.
Mm,
Look at her.
mm, mm, mm,
She's a
mm.
dancer too. She's a dancer.
Hey,
Yes.
it's all right. It's all
Yes.
good. Yeah, there is
Yes.
a documentary in the making. I keep trying to tell her.
But you know what's so funny? Me and Tam on one of our weekend travels, we met a guy that was literally our same age that was in Atlanta. And we were all in Atlanta at the same time. We had frequented the same places, but we did not know each other. And we were like, man, that would be an awesome series about how these three people meet later in life and how they had these journeys and how they met. It was hilarious. But yeah, that's what we call old Atlanta.
Oh, that
It's not
land.
the same. Old Atlanta.
It is it. All right, so we're at the top of the hour. We got work to do. I
Are you
see.
getting off?
Huh?
Are you leaving? We have one person backstage.
Oh, we'll bring them
Their
up.
device is not connected, and let me see if I'm a boot them out and see if they
What you mean the
can come.
device
Oh,
isn't
okay.
connected?
Hold on. They're back. They're up. Hold on. They got it together.
Okay.
They were struggling over there. Hold on. Let's see if they can come up.
What's going on,
Um,
Francisco? How you doing?
uh, we are matching.
I was like, wait a minute. I don't know if this is a conflict now.
It's not
No,
a
that's
conflict.
great. That's great. You
How you
you
ladies doing
you,
tonight?
you go in our
I'm awesome.
branding, our
I'm
decor.
awesome. Yes,
Not
you just on code. That's all. That's all. How you been?
Good, doing great, doing great.
Yeah, I saw you on LinkedIn as well too. Appreciate the love there.
No problem. Congratulations on your exam.
Yeah, thank you,
I'm
thank
actually
you.
trying to look at those SANs. I wasn't actually aware of those certifications through SANs. They look pretty good.
Yeah,
Plan out-
and they cost.
Yeah, I'm trying to plan out my 2022, and my employer does offer some opportunities to go get some certifications and vouchers. So I need to take advantage of that, make the
I
time.
got you.
So
I got you. What I know you're over at I don't know if you want me to say it. Is it
it doesn't
okay? I
matter.
say it?
Verizon.
Okay. Verizon. Okay. I know you're over at Verizon. Are you looking to move around in Verizon, or are you going? What's your angle for getting more certs or
Yeah. So
classes? I should say?
yeah, even for my current role, I think it's we're our team. I've been on my team for about 8 months or so, and that the team is evolving, and there's certain technologies that are being introduced, which are going to require those certifications. So I've been to a boot camp for Kubernetes recently for CKAD. So I'm trying to get that in 2022, then go for the CKA, CKS. So then start working through some of the containers type
Mm,
technologies. Um, but I keep seeing this Mr. Black Ops with the security stuff and cyber, and it's like I'm itching. So shout out to him because that
Big man.
through some of these interactions, I think it's opened my eyes to some other opportunities in the space that are not only what I'm doing now, right? So even like
right.
today's conversation on freelancing, right? The first thing that comes to my mind is there some sort of conflict of interest, right? Because if I'm working a full-time job, but I also want to exercise some of the technologies that I understand and teach them to someone, how do I go about doing that without conflicting with some of the confidential things that my employer has, right?
Well, as long as you're not taking what they're doing and regurgitating it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I well, just for disclosure, for me, when I go to a company, I always tell them like, "Hey, I have the women in Linux, and we talk about X, Y, and Z, blah 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 blah." And
Right.
so I write that into my offer letter or whatever the addendum may need to be written into, right? The other side of that, most companies that I have encountered love the fact that you got something going on outside because it gives them visibility to say, oh, this person has X, Y, and Z. So it may not be that it's an issue. You may find it added on to what you've already been doing from that company because they want you to go out and speak at a conference or
Right.
something in it. And then in terms of working, um, is what I typically have seen is as long as it's not direct competition, they don't care. And you have
Makes sense.
some companies that care, but for the most part, I haven't seen companies that actually care because as long as you're all for me, and this is where it can get hairy sometimes when it's off your time, when it's off of their time and not on their dime and not on their infrastructure in terms of your laptop or whatnot. I
Exactly.
find most of them don't care. Right? There are
Okay.
some that do care. Like if you created a product and that product went, I think that was one of the things that happened with the Oculus team.
Mm.
But I haven't seen anything where where someone's like, oh yeah, I mean, and I guess because we're a nonprofit too, but yeah, you working outside of that, I haven't seen an issue with it unless you start slacking up at your job. That I can
Right.
see.
Right.
But for the
Yeah.
I
most
would say look at your contracts that you sign when you get hired at a job. There are always those clauses that are in there that mention the things Tamika was talking about in regards to your moonlighting, your after work hours, your them having rights to your intellectual property and things of that nature. We call it lawyering words. You always want to go ahead and put an addendum into that and things that you're working on. If you are Cisco V Incorporated, you want to let them know that they don't have any rights to any of the property on Cisco V.
Mhm.
Also, you are your skill sets that you use for work. That's how you make your living. So, when it comes to non-compete, it's hard to kind of enforce that in certain states like Virginia, DC, California. Those are non-enforceable because that's how you make your living. Um, Again, you don't want to slack up at work, but you also want to be fair. Put the shoe on the other foot. If somebody was working for me, and I don't want to hear about what you were doing at your other job, why you can't do the work for me that I paid you for.
Makes
It's
sense.
just, I mean, as a boss, I didn't like to hear it. Like, you went to Sprint today. Why you can't work for me? This is a problem. So
Exactly.
you always want to be fair. And then also, like people are saying in the chat, sometimes you have to just run things by HR,
Hmm.
as far as if you've already signed something, or your manager might tell you to run it up the chain, and they might look at it and say, okay, this is okay, it's not a conflict. But you really don't want to have people to have that over your head, because I mean, it's technology. Everybody is, they tell you to brand yourself, and they tell you go for these other opportunities, but you don't want to be beholden to them um, either.
It makes
Yeah.
sense. And full disclosure, my employers, they're pretty good about that, sending the code of conduct. In fact, I just did it recently where they explain those different scenarios, right? So moving into the new year, I'm trying to find maybe those small opportunities where I can start, like Dee was saying, take half an hour and do something a little bit outside of your norm and try
Hmm.
to see how that goes, right? Engage. I did just this year, there was an opportunity to mentor some folks that were coming into the technology space, but it was sponsored through my job where they allowed you to go, hey, you're allowed allocated X
Hmm.
amount of hours per year to go volunteer your time and
Hmm.
speak with college students or speak with folks that are coming in from, let's say, I had a group that were all nurses and they were going into tech, right? So I had to
Right.
sort of explain to them that, hey, you are in tech as well because you're dealing with machines, you're dealing with computers, you're dealing
Hmm.
with data entry. So, and you're in technology as well. And
Hmm.
they looked at me like, wait, you know what? I didn't think of it that way, right? So,
Right.
um,
And
yeah,
even just the nursing that they know, the book knowledge, the hands-on patient knowledge, that interaction, like this
right,
is the data that companies need to build better products. So they'll be great project managers, SMEs,
Product.
of
They'll
that
be
nature.
product
So
managers.
yeah, so I tell everybody, you're already a technologist, and that's one thing that we try to drive home here, is that we're stacking skills. We're not telling you to throw that 20 years away just so you can get a career in technology starting from the bottom. No, we stack our skills. How do we pivot? How do we change those, implementing to long-term strategy words? Looking at your resume, what does that look like?
exactly,
So, for me, I'm excited about the learning part, because for me, my mom she was an educator, so she had a strict reign on what I was going to do and when I was going to do it. So the freedom to learn at my own pace, the freedom to go job hop and see different opportunities, and see how businesses work. I love the business. So when I go to interviews, I do talk about the business. I'm telling them, if you just did a layoff of 1,000 people, how is that affecting us in the future? When I get hired, I go look and I dig into the business. Where are we going? What are those verticals? Do I want to position myself over there? Do I want to learn the skill sets that are going to make me a long-term hire? Because my job is project based. And so my project ends, I have to find somewhere else to go. So where's that going to skill up? Where's that going to take me? How do I make myself more marketable within the company? Or do I need to leave because I'm interested in something else? I don't want to wait anymore for something else. So those are all those things.
So,
awesome,
Francisco, I'm gonna ask you this: do you have Verizon stock?
yes,
Okay, I was just saying, going to say you should.
yeah. I've been this month is my 19th year with the company.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you should. You should. And congratulations.
Thank
Also on that, with learning Kubernetes, because you are telco, I will be looking at K3s too. Because y'all are super huge on 5G, K3s. In fact, there is a conference that Verizon attends all the time for K3s and edge computing. That's super huge. So learning. K3s, um, from Rancher or IoT devices and edge computing is super huge for Verizon.
Thank you for that insight.
You're
I know that
welcome.
the K8s, the K3s have come up,
Yeah,
and
the K3s, y'all are all on that. You know where a good place to go if you want to really find out what Verizon is doing, edge computing wise, and even space. Go look at the Open Infrastructure Project and go look at OpenShift, and you'll see Verizon all through that.
I thought Rodney was going to show up on the screen now. He said, "Is it Roderick?
Yeah, Rodrigo. Nah, he he's not. I don't think he in here tonight. He might be lurking.
Don't let Roderick pop up on us.
I
Yeah,
think I think I'm still hurting from that night.
You're trying to catch up,
Like
right?
5 hours. I was like, man,
but it was a good. It was a good one. No, it was kind of like one of the ones like I want to leave, but
yeah.
this is good. I don't want to go back and watch it again because I know I'm not going to go back and watch it. I'm just sit here and bear it out. I get it, right? And there was a question in here. Someone said, "Can I expand on my offer letter? Is this something you created to stay within your own determined parameters or some sort of counter offer?" It's usually both. It's a counter offer and within my parameters, right? Because there's intellectual property involved inside of Women in Linux that may overlap with a company in terms of like, hey, you're using or you're doing DevSecOps, but you're not teaching DevSecOps. So there's a little nuance of difference there. And no, they don't own that particular tool. Like they don't own Terraform. Hashi owns it, but they use it. So it's not like they own DevSecOps in terms of that. So that's really not a problem. Is I just don't want someone to come in and say, for example, Women in Linux blows up, it becomes a success, like the Linux Foundation is worth $10 billion, and we become worth, say $1 billion, and because that has blown up, and I work with you, you feel like you can put your hand or put
By the way, we're a nonprofit, so they can't do that. But
right.
our for-profit company, like you don't want anybody because people get petty. You don't want
Yeah.
anybody to be able to stake their claim because they might have bigger pockets than you, and they might want to take you to court just for the inconvenience of it. So so when you look at your offer letter documents, they are those papers you sign, those are binding contracts, and they have a lot of lawyering words to them, and they have those paragraphs as
You
far as
gonna run with that, huh?
conflict of interest because I'm the reviewer of the contracts. I go review. I want to see what's going on because can't don't we have intellect? No, that's no. I'm crossing all that stuff out, and then most of the time you have to put an addendum protecting yourself from things that you may be doing on your own. So it might be Trade Clay Incorporated, and you don't want them to come after Trade Clay or its affiliates or subsidiaries. And that way you keep it blanket because you don't know what you're going to be doing and you don't want people to attach themselves to that. One thing about legal words, they are different than the standard English language. And so that makes it so broad where it's kind of like a catch all where you're just protecting yourself because again, the skills that you are using at your job is how you make a living. The skills that you are building is how you make your living. So no one can cap you on where you take your talents or how you build your talents or how you stretch and you grow. It's a conflict of interest for them to even do that
Um,
because you can politely say, not feeling this energy, I'm gonna go now. Because it's too restrictive. It's smothering. And you do that in the beginning. You don't wait till, way down the line. If you're already in a job, if you already signed those contracts, now you have to go through the proper channels with checking with HR, checking with your supervisors, your team leads in order to do those other side projects because it might be a conflict of interest on work after hours. And some contracts say they don't want you to have a second job. It's very clear. Now they might say, "Oh, we don't care about it," but it might say those words in that letter that you sign. At the end of the day, when you go to court, what you signed on that piece of paper, that is what you signed. If it's not in writing, it did not happen.
Right. And I want to give a special shout out to everybody in the chat and those who have joined us over this past year. We made a goal to 1,800. I know we're not gonna make it to 2,000 by the end of the year, but we made it to 1,800. I'm excited.
All
Just
right.
want to give you a shout out for that.
Congratulations, Lee.
Yeah, Kelvin said. Kelvin said, studying the hell out of that contract. I like reading them because they sneak all type of little stuff in there. You're like, wait a minute.
Now, not to put you on the spot, Francisco. How have you seen your position change through the years? I mean, I'm assuming you probably changed positions too, but like how have you seen like Verizon and as a company change throughout the years?
I mean, significantly. I mean, it's when I started off, there was no notion of this cloud stuff and
Mm-hmm.
deployments. And I think somebody mentioned it. I don't know if it was this chat or some other chat I was in, where we were server huggers, right? So this is
Right.
the server, my applications are here. I own this, and
Right.
nobody touch it, right? And
Right.
you owned it for a period of time. I supported infrastructure, so I own soup to nuts from all the cabling that had to be done. I had to supervise that work or do it myself. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
all the applications that ran, I owned them. That server and that application was on, I owned that as well. And now to do the shift from, hey, I got to now give this to somebody else and hope that they're keeping the infrastructure up and running. So I had a chance to do that as well. Is work on the cloud stuff as well. So that it's evolved quite a bit, and now we're talking about containers in the role that I'm in now. So it's another shift, right? So
Mm-hmm. Not only containers, but the security of those containers. And that's why the cloud security cert that I got, that was part of that. It's
mm,
just how do you secure AWS? How do you secure Azure? How do you secure your repo? What does it look like? How do you give an overview of your security posture? How do you design that? What's the ROI on that? Just a it's a big task, right? um there are it's funny that did the freelancing tonight because there was a job that came across for a freelancer for somebody to do an analysis on a company's security posture from a cloud perspective.
mhm.
And now it's like, okay, well, how much do you charge for that? How do you come up with your rate? And that's why I posed the question earlier, because it's what they're really saying is, how much do you value your skill set and yourself?
Mhm.
And if you go in with the mindset of, well, I think I'm only $50 an hour, yeah, you're gonna get a lot of jobs.
Yeah,
You're gonna
absolutely.
get overworked too, right? You have the potential to get overworked too. So you have to look at yourself and say, okay, well, not necessarily what the market is bringing, but what unique value that you do bring. But going back to that T shape that I was talking about, and
Right.
then going also uh, defining that value. That, hey, I require this because you got to think about the time that you're putting into it, and also if it's something that you're doing full time, the benefits that you're going to need, out of that. I don't know. I don't know. Is Obamacare still around? I don't know. Is that something still pop? I don't know.
Trump there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just asking. Like, I don't know. I know they got crushed, but I don't know if it's still around or whatnot. But that's just my thought process. You actually got a question, Francisco. Does
Oh man,
Francisco
I've
talk
never
qualify?
done these, so you guys are putting me on the spot big time. I've never
Yeah.
first time.
They said, does Francisco's talk qualify as a volunteer? He is having a dialogue with us. He is not coming up here presenting anything.
I'm
So
gonna
he
I'm gonna
is
put the hours in.
Yeah, put the hours
I'm not gonna take those. You are
I
participating at the meetup.
I'll take them because I did ask some questions. Um,
You're participate. You don't get the participation award from me.
This is
I'm from the old school.
this is
But
act- this is actually a great icebreaker because I've been wanting to try something like this, so I think I'm honored that you ladies had me on for a little bit, and
yeah,
anytime,
we thank you for coming up.
just
anytime.
a way to
We
close the
wish
year.
more people come up.
Thank you.
You're
Because
welcome.
everybody's just a little avatar. So we get used to you guys' avatars. And it's just
Mhm.
like, okay, what do these people look like? Are we just talking to like
Bots.
not even a bot? Like, you don't know what you're talking to out there in the internet.
I mean, just like we didn't even know Kelly was in Nigeria, right? We didn't even know we had people watching us from Nigeria. I mean, we've had people watch us from different stuff, but we didn't know he was watching from Nigeria. What's going on, Vanessa H? You said it's your first time commenting. Coincidentally, I watched that episode a couple of days ago. Tam was showing us her old contracts and walking her. Well, yeah. My old
Oh,
contracts. Yeah,
awesome.
yep, yep. And that's why I try to show you a lot of people. I watch all these different videos where people are calling people out on YouTube. Like I know y'all watch was it Pocket Watching with JT and stuff like that. I'm waiting for somebody to try to call me out like, "Oh my god, there's no people don't make that kind of money or that's not something that you could do." And that's why I show you these things cuz
Absolutely.
I don't want you to ever feel like, "Oh my god, um she's just lying to you. You know, you can't make that kind of
Cat.
money."
That's what the kids is calling it. The cat.
Yeah, yeah. But
All cat.
I
We
also
bring up the real people. These are real
yeah.
people. You can find them on LinkedIn. They're working real jobs. Making real money. Like we can't do all of the jobs. You're Francisco. You are a real person. You're a real technologist. Like you said, you've been at your situation for 19 years now. You've done the work from the hardware. You're moving into containerization. Like you can speak to it and you come often. So what we're speaking of resonates with you. And I can tell by the questions that you ask that you are looking to shift, to pivot for yourself and what that means for you. So when we ask people to come up and they are people in the audience in the chat, it is because we want everybody to connect with each other and to know that these things are obtainable. It is not something that you can say, okay, well, tomorrow, well, I'm not going to even lie. Tomorrow, you could get a job in tech. You can be working at a tech company tomorrow if that's something that you desire. If you put in an application and you happen to get hired, would that job be technical? It might not be, but it might be.
That's true.
Mhm.
Who knows? But that's just what can happen. Like your situation can change overnight. But you've been in it for 19 years. You can tell people, you can attest to the work that you've done. What
Mhm.
type of discipline that you need
How many
in
books you done
skilling up.
thrown?
How do I stretch myself if I'm ready to stretch myself? Like you can speak to that for people like
Yeah.
I'm still growing and I'm still learning.
Yeah, it's a constant learn. And so, somebody. In fact, I ain't gonna say somebody. Fran asked me this. I call you out, Fran. You be all right. Fran asked me this. Fran asked me this. She's like, do you really, really love this? Like, do you really do this? I'm like, yeah. Like, yeah. Like for me, it's not. It's one of them things like how can I describe it? Like is being in the tech industry and in particular Linux system administration, cloud security, DevOps, this field. It's one of those fields where I know it's not going anywhere, right? It's gonna just keep evolving. You just evolve with it. And then it's also one of them things like, like if that company don't like me, this company over here would like me. Like it's just one of them things where I could just go where I want to go, but it's also one of the fields that you touch so much and you learn so much that you're just gonna always be just thinking, right? It's you could take on the work and say, I'm gonna go to work and then I'm gonna go home and then that's it. But because the field is so ever evolving and moving, it will behoove you not to have that attitude. It will behoove you to be like, I'm gonna go to work and then I'm gonna go home and watch this video, because it's always somebody at your job or somebody in the area that's always evolving. Kelsey Hightower is one. Brian Lyles is another one that we're bringing in on Saturday. The CTO advisor, he is another one that we're bringing in as well too. He started off with hardware, and go. I implore y'all to go check him out. He is the CTO advisor is one of those ones that started out with infrastructure and so forth and so on. I implore you all to go check him out and see his journey. He's going to talk about it, but you may have questions from him saying, I don't want to work for nobody anymore. I want to go do my own thing, and I want to do this and I want to do that. So I implore you all to like really get into the backstory on some of these people, because it it answers the questions that you ask me all the time. The why, how long have you been in it, why would you do it, and so forth and so on. So I implore you to check that out. And I also implore you to listen to your own story, right? What is your story? Like, you what y'all call it? Y'all call them dusties and stuff like that. Y'all, I'm gonna say you're not a dust mite. Let's say that your story is important, right? I just want to put that out there. Like, don't diminish who you are and the work that you have done, right? Don't do that to yourself. That's why I
Your
started.
journey matters, and it is non-conventional, and most people don't realize how important your journey is, and also who's watching you on your journey.
Right.
You know, I mean, you'll be amazed that people be like, "Oh, I know women in Linux," or they have something inspirational to say in regards to just us being consistent. You know, because a lot of people are they fall off. There's been a lot of women tech organizations that they still may be around, but they haven't had a meeting in years. Like, this takes work.
Mm.
And I'm excited to have a partner in crime that is as passionate as she is about technology. And she's always been this way. And I think she delivers on that all the time. So, you know, I can say that the world is luckier to have her, you know, be able to share, because it's something that she's really passionate about as far as technology and people learning and people being self sufficient. Because at the end of the day, we are founders, but you can't get past the fact that we are Black women founders at that. And so, you know, that representation matters. And so, you know, all eyes are on you. So we never want to deliver anything that is made up. Like, it's just too much hype. Like, we're never going to, like, we like nice things. We like quality stuff. We eat like nice dinners. We like nice cars. We go and like going nice places just like everybody else. But does it benefit to show you the stuff? No, because at, Cisco V might not want an exotic car. His family and time with his family may be more
Cisco V got a
important. That
Cisco V got an
flexibility may be
exotic.
more
He got
important.
it. He got an exotic car.
He building one right now. He building an airplane.
He
We
got
got
an
somebody
exotic.
coming up. Hey, Mercedes,
Hi, how are you
How
how
you
guys?
you
doing?
doing?
Good.
How you
What's
been?
going on?
Good. First off, I just want to thank you too for all the information that you guys provide. I'm pretty much like a women in Linux junkie. I've been
I
I've been
appreciate it.
yeah, I've just been watching everything, learning from you too, and I really appreciate it. It means so much to me.
I mean, have
Um,
you learned? Have you gotten any good information?
I'm learning every time I watch your videos.
Okay.
And I'm a nurse right now. I'm
Hmm.
Okay.
making the transition to tech.
Got you.
And I'm pretty much following the pathway that you told me to. Pick a
Hmm.
cloud, learn Linux, learn to pick a coding language, Security Plus.
All right.
So I'm on that pathway, but I've been looking into DevSecOps.
Hmm.
That seems to be something that really interests me.
Hmm.
But I wanted to ask you, like, once I learned the foundations of,
Hmm.
cloud, Linux, and
That's all
coding.
DevSec. I'm gonna tell you, that's all DevSecOps right
You
there.
learn the
Okay,
DevSecOps.
That's
okay,
that's that's what you're learning. That's why I give you that as a foundation, and from that as a foundation, if you want to, like if you just truly wanted to, if you wanted to go to DevSecOps, you could. If you wanted to build more on your cloud, remember it's a T shape, so I give you the
hmm,
T, and you can pick any one of those to go vertical in. So if you want to go vertical in Ansible, you could. If you want to go vertical more into cloud, you could. If you want to go vertical more into security, you could. So it's just the T, and you pick out of that T as a baseline what you choose to go vertical in. You're gonna get employed either way.
okay,
Like there's not there. I mean, and I always tell you all, like, look up, like, okay, how can I get employed as an Ansible or automation engineer? What is that? Because that's really what you're doing. You're automating. Infrastructure engineer is another word that is centered around that. So it's DevSecOps, infrastructure engineer are the it's really like what you're setting yourself up as a baseline. And
correct.
then and then on top of that, if you take it one step further, and I was looking at this the other day with someone, um, it is also a foundational skill set for data engineering under AWS, right?
Right.
So now you're like, well, if I want to go do data, I have this foundation over here. Now I just learn to analyze and I go here. Or if I want to do cloud security and start doing containerization and securing containers, oh, I have the foundation. Oh, I can go over here. So you
Hmm.
is the way I'm telling you is making you a Swiss Army knife, where you now control what you want to do and where you want to go. And you might be like, I don't even want to do all of DevSecOps. I just really want to do Ansible. Or I just want to really focus on the cloud. But that's okay because you have those foundational skills that can take you anywhere. And that's what ends up happening. You can go anywhere. And when I say you can go anywhere for a long time.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Right? I
Yeah.
don't want to I don't want to have you get skills and it's out with the old and it's a year later and you're no longer relevant. You're talking at least a minimum of 5 to 10 years. You know, I've been doing Linux administration 20,
Hmm.
so like, and I'm still here, right? And I
Right.
just added on some skills, so here we are again with some more tools in your toolbox to keep going. So that's why I told you I give it to you that way. I try not to frame it as DevSecOps because I don't want people to just like get that stuck in their mind. I
Right.
don't, I want to give you, like, this is a foundation. That's the easiest foundation to get in tech to me versus you spending 3 or 4 years learning to code, maybe possibly, and not like it. But
Hmm.
this gives you, like, hey, what about this as a skill set? And what about that as a skill set? And then you pick what you like you really like it, and then you like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. Like, you give yourself that option too. um and then as far as like adding in anything as coding, you get the coding side, like a Python or Rust. That's just icing on the cake. That's just you solidifying, saying, yeah, you know I'm it when I walk in. You know, I'm that person when I walk in. So
Right. And then
that's what.
slather healthcare all over it. Because that industry is super vast. And I mean, as an industry, the same thing is going on what we're talking about daily. You already have that knowledge. So whatever
Mhm.
you want to do, I mean, it's you're a beast, you know,
Mhm.
and then having the mindset and walking in there and saying, I'm a beast.
Right.
Right.
I've been in healthcare. I'm a nurse. Anybody who can go through a nursing program is a G in my book. Like that, nursing is difficult, and people always they don't give nursing credit like it's super easy. Nursing is not easy.
It's not.
Getting a nursing degree is not easy because basically you are the doctor. Like the doctor
Mhm.
come in and check on somebody every once in a while, but the nurse knows what's going on. The nurse has all the facts. And so you need to know your job, the doctor's job, the front desk job, the dietitian's job. Like just having that skill set and that working knowledge and being able to bring that vantage point into technology, not somebody assuming what happens, like being able to knock out that scenario and being able to just diagram what happens when you walk into a room and when you hook up a machine, or what a nurse's feedback is, what that the end user is looking for when they dial in or they go out, and how it should respond. That is invaluable. Never discount yourself in all that. Like I said, you're not chucking away all of that experience just to go get into tech. You're building on that knowledge.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you so much for clarifying
You
that, because the more and more that I keep looking into DevSecOps, I realize I can pretty much pivot into anything. Because I mean, DevSecOps, it also involves, if I'm correct, full stack
yeah.
on the back end, and then if I
The-
wanted to get into data engineering, it's the same process. So
Right. And
yeah,
if you want to go work at a company that's doing blockchain, you can. If you
right.
want to go work at a company that's working on a space project, you can. If you want to go work at a company that's like Walmart or Target, you can. Like it just gives you that Swiss Army knife. I think it's to me, I think it's the easiest to get into, to build up, to make the most money from my perspective. Um, I see Savage Scientist in there talking about programming. I'm with you. I think you can add that on at any point in time as you start thinking logical, because I think Linux makes you think logical. I think Bash programming makes you think logical. I think it's just a logical thing. It's just a natural thing that comes about. But once you start adding in all these just little nuances of different skill sets, right? You may not know data structures real well, but you know when to use something, when not to use something. You learn that, and so that just makes you even better. You're like, okay, well, I'm gonna use this because this is what I know how to do, or I need to learn how to use this. It may take me some time, but at least I can report to my team. Here's what I know how to do, and here's what I may need a little brush up on. And you may be the person that be like, okay, well, go and do what you need to do. Take your time and go fix that, and get back to us when you got it done. So it's just I just like it. I just as a model, I just like it. I see so many people that transition into it and like, hey, we have a cloud migration. I was looking at Google last night with Anthos, and Anthos allows you to take your VMs from VMware, and then we call it the 12-step refactor, where we got to take a VM and move it into a container. But basically, with Anthos, it'll take the VM that you have and then create a container out of it for you, and now you don't have to worry about that part of like, I have to refactor. I'm just going to migrate this VM over and make it into a container, and then if I need to refactor the container, I can refactor the container if I needed to. But now what it's allowing me to do now is, and Francisco is learning this, I can now deploy that into a cluster, or I could deploy that into, say, the cloud, and maybe not even need Kubernetes. There was a talk yesterday that Kelsey Hightower was doing with Google, with the Google Cloud team, and they were basically breaking it down, saying like not everybody needs Kubernetes, right? And so you as the SME have to figure out whether or not is that do you even need Kubernetes for this app? Like you're the go-to person, but in order for you to be that go-to person, you're gonna have some bumps and bruises along the way. They're gonna make you that go-to person, but you have to analyze what the business needs. What is that ROI? Is it gonna be something too complicated? Is it gonna be something that you can scale back and say, well, we don't need this right now, but in the future we'll need that. But let's focus on what we need right now, and then in the future, as we start to grow, let's make a roadmap for that, and then build that out. And so you become that subject matter expert. On top of that, it gives you time to think about it, and it gives you time to ask questions to other people as they go on their journey. Nobody knows this stuff off the top of their head. If you watch Reinvent, and I have to always put this into perspective for people. AWS has only been around 15 years. Look how much money AWS has as a company. And then let's look at how much money, and when I say AWS, I'm talking about the cloud side. Look at how many services they have created in the 15-year span, right? So you got to think like everybody don't know all this, right? It's fairly new when we're talking about technology. That's fairly new, right? So you got to look at it like 2006 to now, how much money their cloud has amassed. How much is AWS cloud worth? AWS cloud net worth. Let me look right quick. Let me look. Let me see what they're pulling back. So just alone, here it is. In the third quarter of 2021, AWS generated cloud computing and hosting revenues of 16.1 billion just in the third quarter. So you got to think about overall, like how much they're worth and how they have moved. And then you got Azure coming right behind them. Then you have Google Cloud coming right behind them as well too. So people are always going to pick a cloud based upon what they need. If they're doing AI and machine learning, they're probably going to be over in Google because that's just where they're at. If they're some people are just like, I'm Windows, we're a Windows environment, that's all we know, we're going to be in Azure. And then if you're a startup, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be inside of AWS, but it also depends. If they're doing a multi-cloud strategy, then they're going to be possibly in 2 or 3 clouds, right? So it depends on the company. Everybody is different. Congratulations and welcome to the gang.
Thank you.
DevSecOps gang. I appreciate you. Don't get discouraged. Don't give up.
Oh, I'm not.
Yeah,
because nursing school was
she
hell
went
for
through a nursing program. She got it. She got the it. Because boy, those nurses, they are like. I mean, I have a friend that went through the nursing program, and her story she will share with me. I'm like, the nursing game is worse than the music game. I'm like, the way they treat new nurses, the scheduling, the cattiness, how the old nurses act around the new nurses, and just all. It's a show.
Yeah,
it's a show. It is a reality show.
Is that why you trying to get out?
Well, of course, and one thing I learned, I'm looking at, nurses that I work with, my coworkers, our salaries are public at the hospital that I work at. And I'm looking at the nurses, my coworkers that have been there for 20 plus years. And I'm like, when I hear Tamika speak about salaries, I'm like, if it's taking my coworker 20 years to make 200,000 plus, I can make that in a couple years in tech. So it's just,
or at least be close to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, and the amount of stress isn't worth it to me in nursing. So,
right,
they're known for eating their young. Yes, they are known for eating their young.
Yeah.
And then also, you can make a good living in nursing, but everything has a price tag. It is
exactly.
Do I want to be with the people? Because mentally it's draining. Like, I'm sick of y'all today. I'm not fooling with y'all today. Do I want to deal with this energy? Do I want to deal with the people? Do I want to position myself to make more money? Does that mean I have to go on the road? Do I have to be a travel nurse? What does that mean for my home life? Like, you can go do it. Nurses every day. I know people are signing up for nursing every day, all day. They making good money, but everything has a price tag, and you have to
Yes.
decide for yourself: am I willing to pay that price tag?
Yes.
Yep.
So,
Thank you so much. I'm
You're
gonna
welcome.
head out now. Thank you so much.
all
I
right.
really
Thank
appreciate it.
you for coming
I'll be
up.
on for the Friday show too. I'll be there
Yep, yep,
Awesome.
yep.
We look
watching.
forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, yeah. Make sure you check out the CTO advisor, folks. He'll be on Friday, to hear his story and his journey, into not necessarily just into tech, but just as an entrepreneur as well too. When you say I did IT for a hospital, and I appreciate what nurses do. Yeah, man. I went in and worked. I did some IT work at a hospital before, and I was like, yeah, this ain't my thing that I want to do forever. It's there. It's just it's a lot of things. Go work. Go work for a school, like Universal Washington has a medical department, right? And so they have a IT, right, department. So of course they're always doing models and machine learning and analyzing data and so forth and so on. When
Yeah, I
I
took
tell
that.
you
Remember, I took that healthcare IT
the
course.
pressure is on.
I took that healthcare IT course, and I was like, I don't want to be fooling with those machines. Like, I am not about to be messing with nobody's life and on life support machine and the tablets and all the stuff they use. Like, not gonna do that.
Yeah, you don't gotta
But
be
I
careful.
do appreciate what nurses do as well. I lost my grandmother at the beginning of the year, and of course, my mom, she's a savage. If she want to talk to the doctor, if you want to talk to the doctor, but my nursing friend, she was like, no, you want to talk to the nurse. You want to talk to her nurse on duty, and I got a whole new respect for what they do, and especially during COVID and the protocols that they had to put together just for people to be able to communicate with their loved ones. It was amazing because I know I was calling up there, calling all different types of departments just to make sure that I was able to contact my grandmother and see her um, daily. So salute.
Yeah. What is that Golden Pass? Oh yeah. Golden Pass, I saw that comment. Come on stage with all that yapping.
He said he helping his daughter with her algebra homework. Woo, I don't miss algebra.
I love algebra. Algebra's fun.
I used to do cooperative education in school in math. Like, after, I don't know what year, I just really wasn't feeling math, but I was just like, this is not what I want to do.
It's funny she don't be feeling math, but she be feeling them numbers when it comes to
Oh,
budgets.
well, I can
My
count now.
goodness.
I can
It's
count some points. I can count,
it's funny. You
but
gonna be
algebraic, I don't need none of that to count. To add, subtract, multiply, and divide.
I see. I see. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that you all got a chance to look at the freelancers, consider it, right? I know a lot of people have asked me like, where can I find a place to pick up some work? Here you go. Right. Here you go. Here's your chance to pick up some work. One thing I would implore you to do before you like step out there is make sure you um got your resume cleaned up, and um make sure that you have quantified your stuff on your resume, for that. Like, I want you to like make sure that you presenting your best self, for that, when it comes to that.
Now, presenting your best self and telling tall tales is totally two different things. So we're not saying tell tall tales. Don't do that, because people, they're gonna call you out on your stuff, and then we don't want you looking silly and then say we over here at Women in Linux. You telling tall tales, do not mention us at all. We ain't tell you to do that.
And
Oh,
Seven
record.
Scientists, when is your next show? Are you teaching C plus plus? What are you teaching right now? I know I saw you on live on something, but I haven't been over there to check out what you've been doing tonight. What you got coming up. Let me see. Make sure we shout out everybody. Kelvin, thank you for rocking with us. Professor Black Ops, you see you there. Vanessa, thank you for commenting, man. Like you should comment. Don't lurk. Come on out of the lurking phase. Game over. We see you. Oh yeah, book writing. You mentioned something about book writing. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. Oh, you're on the Mac. Oh, you gotta turn off that auto reboot. Let me see. Tracy LA, congratulations. You've been chugging along. I see you out there, uh, and doing your thing. Yeah, game over. I said something. Yeah, well, we appreciate y'all. Make sure you follow Bryan Henderson. Check in on Friday. Check in on Saturday. We got a lot of information that's getting ready to the end of the year. I actually reached out to I gotta double check it. We got some people coming on for gaming and drones. I've been getting that. So if you got a drone, get your drone stuff ready. Um, we're gonna talk about drones and construction drones and real estate, how to make money, side hustles, the whole nine, party events, weddings, the whole nine, different types of drones. We're also going to get into um, what that can look like as a full-time job or even a part-time job, right? I'm just trying to give you different ways how to utilize your tech knowledge and experience to do that. Remember now, with your drones, you can program your drones. In fact, I think Disney has a light show when it comes to drones as well too. So um, I'm just trying to branch you all out into thinking about the different ways that Linux is applied around the world, and then also what skill sets that you may want to acquire in order to do these things. So that's one thing. Let's see. You said you're gonna skip this week. You're trying to your thesis paper, okay? Okay, more C plus plus. Cool. Um, you can't wait for the drone discussion. Oh yeah. My drone is broke right now.
Drones don't live over here for too long.
Yeah,
Drones get out of the box, they get up in the air, and then they go back in the box.
yeah. Here's my little drone right here. I need it. I got it, and I had it. I flew it for 10 minutes, and I haven't gotten it fixed. And I need to get my drone fixed. Um, my 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 poor little baby. It's a Mavic Air 2, and you can see she dun 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 dun. She's like hanging, but she cool though. She cool. I need to get her fixed though. My poor little baby. Look at her. She ain't going nowhere. She ain't going nowhere looking like that. Yeah, it's a DJI. Yep. Um. Oops. I mean to turn on. I need to get a There she goes. I need to get a I had another drone that I needed to get.
Told Pab she need a license. They don't they don't last too long.
Yeah, her poor baby, she all over. So I need to get I got some another drone that I wanted to get. I'll probably get it for Christmas as my Christmas gift to myself. Um, I have been looking at it for a while, so she's gonna be my little Christmas gift to myself. Um, I guess I already got my Christmas gift to myself. I guess Is that what you consider that a Christmas gift, T-Bot?
What?
Would you consider my ride a Christmas gift?
I consider it a birthday gift. That's what
Okay.
it was. It was a birthday gift.
Okay, that was a birthday gift.
It
Okay.
was a birthday gift. It was a
Okay.
birthday gift.
All
I
right,
won't say
cool.
it was a Christmas gift.
Let me see. Yep. The drone session is gonna be really, really cool. I also I gotta reach out to some people. We're gonna talk about getting your pilot's license. I have bought all this stuff to get my pilot's license from Bling. And I haven't sat down and do that. That is on my bucket list. It is a thing that I must do. And talk about getting your pilot's license so you can fly on the weekend as well too. We can talk about drone license and stuff that and so forth. So
She
yeah,
got to do it.
it wasn't. I wasn't even gonna buy it. I wasn't.
Let me tell you, I think in the dealership is on to Tamika because the more horsepower it got, they're gonna call her first, like, come check it out before we sell it. And I think that's how they get her to be like,
That's not how they get me. I tell them exactly what I
she tell them, and they'll send over some BS. And then when the souped up come, it's hook lines. It's a strategy.
Oh, they already know.
She can't. She's that's her vice. Like, she's not. If she's an impulse shopper,
I'm
you're
a
an impulse shopper. Like, when it comes to a car,
strategic.
you be like, she like, so what you think? What you think? What's going on?
No,
She gonna get. Well, I'm gonna get it. That's her thing.
strategic.
Tamika want earrings in automobiles. That's Tamika. If you're thinking about getting Tamika a gift, get her earrings. Don't say buy her a car. You can buy her a little, what's that little radio power car or something like that. Go get her a little mini drone from
RC?
Amazon or something like that. But that is her vice.
And drones.
And food. And not food. I'm not gonna say food because then that's some fat girl stuff. I mean, like, steak.
I like she so enough trying to make me to be the fat girl.
Yeah, I'm not about to throw you under the bus like that. I'm like, steak. She like a good steak.
Oh no, trying to make me be the fat girl in the group.
I ain't gonna do that to you, Hobie. I ain't gonna
the GT4S, the Porsche GT4, the Cayman, the GT4. Yeah, I like it. I haven't test driven that particular one. I need to see what that looks like. My guy called me the other day and he's like, there's a GT3 coming. It's a stick coming to the lot. And he's like, did I want to test drive it? But I can't drive a stick. So I told him, I was like, well, somebody got to show me how to drive a stick. So I haven't driven a stick. D's the stick person. My favorite car. Let's go with a brand, and then my favorite car out of the brand. How about that? My favorite car out of, like, say, a Mercedes. I like their SUVs. I like the GL. I like the GL 450. Thick girls are a new style. If you less than 175, you consider slim than some guys. Oh, I did not know that. I did not.
I had a boss. He was like, if you are under 200 pounds, he's like, I like them 200. If they not 200, I don't want it.
I don't know.
I was like, okay.
All right. So the Mercedes would be like
everyone.
The GL 450. Now I did test drive the S Class. It was the S Class 580, and I had that for like a couple of weeks. That thing too big.
What?
The S Class that we had. That thing is huge. Like, it's huge. Like, I was like, man, you could take somebody out and not even know it. You gonna roll over somebody and not even know it. And then when it come down to the BMWs, I don't know. I don't know that I took out the competition, the I8 competition. It's nice. I would get it used though. I get the I8 competition used. Um, um, in terms of the Range Rovers, um, or I should say Land Rover, Range Rover. I can't stand the Discovery. But I do like the Range Rover if they work. They come what we call the convenience package.
You might go to start it up, and it is like, not today.
Yeah, you may go in and come back out, and it may not start right.
And be
So
like, and it's one obscure sensor on it, and you be like, really, you just gonna shut the whole car down? Absolutely, we're not running today.
yeah, so it's one of them things, and then you got I did like the Lincoln Aviator. I did like that, but they laughed at me at the dealership. They laughed at me, and they was like, "No." So it is what it is. But usually I don't like the Mercedes AMG GT, this little small one. It ain't made for women with hips. It's just it's not made for you need to be 120, 130 sitting in that car because it ain't made like that. It ain't cut like that. It ain't cut like that. You see, is it oh okay, flying drones. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, the Tesla, yeah, the Teslas are could the only you have to look at Kevin, you gotta go look at the Tesla and the Bugatti. It's probably the only car that the Tesla can't beat is the Bugatti. But I don't care for Teslas. Like I need all the sound I can get. I need all the vroom vrooms and the wind whams I can get. Yep, we killing the earth, but that started long before me. It started long before me. I haven't driven a Lamborghini yours, so I don't know. Um, I've
So
seen
without the
I've
kid,
seen
it look real Martha-ish.
yeah, yeah, you gotta put a kid on it. I don't like the what's it? What was it? What was it? The Bentley Bentayga. I don't like that. It don't do nothing. It don't do nothing for me.
Yeah, they gotta go. They gotta go from room, and they have to. They have to. I'm at a point where I'm just like, this sound like a sewing machine. Like, who's going anywhere with that?
Yeah, the Audi R8. I had that. And I was gonna keep it, but in comfort mode, I put my foot on the gas, and it was just like I didn't go nowhere, and I was like, where you going? I had a Subaru passing me, and I was like, oh no. And then I put it in the sport mode. It's a V10, and then it picked up. But yeah, like I was like, now I want to be able to drive it like how I want to. And the guy that had it, he was like, yeah, I knew you wouldn't go like that car. He was like, he's like, it was something that was missing. Like, I don't know if it needed like an extra, like an extra button to let open the valves or what have you. I don't know. I haven't driven the Q8 RS. I haven't driven that one. So I don't know what that was like. I looked at the Audis, but yeah, I haven't driven that one. But yeah, some cars are like really really cool, and some I'm like nah. Oh, I drove the C8. I took out the C8, the 2022 C8, and a 2021 C8. My review of those, one is a C8, and one is a C8R. The
Savage,
C8R.
savage signs that say they see you driving a Hellcat. The Hellcat was fun. Now, I enjoyed the Hellcat, but I don't. Like it's a novelty though. Like little Hellcat for a little bit, then I'll be like, I want to drive this Hellcat every day.
Yeah, it ain't gonna dip in the lanes like you want to. Right?
But it was a better ride than what I thought it was gonna be. I was like, okay, Hellcat, okay, Hellcat, you doing a little something, but I couldn't see you driving every day.
But the
I don't want Hellcat problem.
But here's the problem with the C8s. They got blind spots. And you sitting there and you got these blind spots. Like I get it, you got the convertible roof or whatnot, but yeah, you got some blind spots. Yeah, I mean, if I lived in Atlanta, I guess I get what everybody else in Atlanta had.
Like the Rango Hellcat, nah.
Yeah,
nah.
Yeah. The track cop, right? That's the track cop. But nah, I'm cool with what I got.
No, I don't want to get pulled out of any of those. CD, I thought you would be driving the Tesla. The Tesla probably would be driving me.
No, D is bougie. D likes that it was I was looking at oh god, hold on. Let me get it was a Bentley GT. A Bentley GT. That's what it was. It was a Bentley GT. And there's the different styles in the GT. There's the convertible and then there's the hard top. It was a hard top GT. That's what she liked, the Bentley GT. Yeah, Savage Scientist. Yeah, you'd be looking like everybody else on the road up there.
I like the Ferrari. That Ferrari, I like the Roma in the California. I need to go test drive one. But as I look over the life cycle of the cars that have come through the Bachelorette Villa, I like the cars with some power. Like little buddy gotta have some power. If it don't have no power, it don't last long around here. It don't last long around here at all. Now, what was fun was the Porsche, the Carrera was extra. It was a fun ride. The only thing about it had a sunroof. It wasn't convertible, but I mean, tight steering, quick.
That suspension was stiff.
It was a roast. It hugged like it was a roadster.
So do you show the screen? I think this the one you like, right?
That's too big.
No, it's not.
That's too big. I don't know why she think that I'm not driving myself around. That's too much. That's too much car. I like a little.
You driving that all day long.
I need something quick.
No, I seen you in that all day long.
Yeah, Savage. I was in Atlanta actually, and I was at Red Lobster in Atlanta, and this little young girl, she came in. She was on a date. And she was so excited because she said the guy that was taking her on a date came and picked her up in a Bentley. And I was like, oh, okay. And we just happened to go outside because the waiting area got crowded. And she was like, there's his Bentley right here. And I was like, as your sister, I'm going to let you know that is a Chrysler 300. Don't let that man trick you. Thinking that's a Bentley.
I don't mean to laugh, but difference between a Bentley and a Chrysler 300.
She was like, he got a Bentley. I was like, no, girl, that's a Chrysler. That's a 300. You know what? Tam had a Mini Cooper Coachman, and it was a mean little scoop with dynamic sport. But no. Now I like the Jaguar F-Type R. That's more.
Well, it's got to be an R. It's got to be an R now.
R. Did you hear me put that? R. Aura. But that's what I mean. Like I'm not that pooty. But that the Mini Cooper is expensive, and a Mini Cooper probably would still be sitting over here because it's a cool little ride if I had a little stick shift. But the Mini Cooper dealership is about an hour away, so to get it serviced, it is like hell because you got to go all the way out the way just to get you some brakes. So
Yeah.
mm-mm.
But for the most part, most of the stuff, I mean, I like a little power on that. Yeah, the Mini Cooper key fobs are fine. Yeah, for the mandatory kill switch. Well, I'm getting kill switches put in my car anyway, so um, that that's all of that anyway.
Yeah, we
D,
gotta
D, I can hear you in the background.
huh?
I can hear it in the background.
You can hear what in the background?
You got the YouTube on or something?
I don't have nothing on in the background.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, the Jags are nice. The
Yep.
Jags are nice.
The XLJ is nice. Um, the the X the oh god, what is the name of that car? It is oh god, it's gonna bother me. It is a Jaguar. It's like a is it Valkyrie? I think that's what it's called. Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, that one. That's the one I like. But
The
that
F Pace,
one,
the F Pace is cute, but the F Pace, it didn't have the one I got in. It didn't have any power. Like they have a, I think they have an F Pace SVR. That it may be a little swifter, but I mean, we get in it and we the first thing we do when we sit in the car is we just listen. Like, does it give us the chills? Like, and you rev that engine, can you feel it? And you're like,
that's
it's not
what
gonna
you
make
do
it.
now. That's what you do now. Before you didn't do that. It's nice. It's nice. It's so right. I can see me in this. I like this Miata.
I told her I wanted a Miata 10 years ago, and she is
I like this
not gonna let
Miata.
me live it down. It was gonna replace my motorcycle. I was like, oh, I'll get a little Miata.
This Miata is nice.
She's been holding me to that Miata for 10 years now.
I
And
like that Miata.
she is killing me with this Miata.
I could see me in that. Just a little mean little scoot. All right, share my screen. This is a Jaguar. It's a concept car, but it's another one that they came out with. They finished this. But I forget the name of the car though. But as you can see like it's still got the Jaguar in the front, this, that, another. But um this this one's okay. But it's a concept though. That's what it looked like in the front though. So you can see the lines and so forth, right? I like it though. We'll see one day. All right, people. I need to eat. And I also need to prep some stuff in the morning.
You
YouTube.
said that an hour ago. I was like, you really leaving? And that was like an hour
See, if
ago.
you would just let me finish, you inserted yourself. I was closing the
I mean,
house.
this is we're in here together. I mean, I'll be trying to get a word in edgewise a little bit. Thank you for sharing your space with me.
Where's my mute button? I need a mute button. I need to be able to drop you down and bring you back up. I need those abilities. All right, everybody. I want y'all to be safe. And have fun. Think about the ability to get some to do some freelance work, right? I think you will have fun with that. All right, until we meet again, see you on Friday. Is it Friday at 6? Right?
Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right, Friday at 6. We'll see you then.
All right. Yep. Thanks for coming out, everybody.